up, everybody? My name's Wrath. Welcome back. Hopefully audio is good. I'm trying to remember. I listened to my last video, and I'm trying to remember if I needed to tweak my audio or anything. Ignore that. It's just gonna be there until someone else joins, so we're just stuck with it. I can't remember if my audio was bad or not. I think it needed to be tweaked up a tiny bit, and I think the guests needed to be brought up a bit. We'll do that. We'll see what happens. Anyways, guys, my name's Wrath. Welcome back to another episode of Drinks and Discussions. We have an actual name for this thing now, so that's cool. You know, it's cool. It's a thing. But I currently have a Diet Coke. Don't ask questions. But I've got. You know what? Yeah, we're gonna start this off. I'm gonna mix myself up a whiskey sour, which is might not be my last whiskey sour because I've got a little bit of extra syrup here.
Hello.
Well, hello there.
Sorry I'm late.
No, you're right on time. I do need to turn you up because I listened to my last video.
Meeting.
A 4-hour meeting?
It was awful.
Jesus. I mean, I had a 1-hour meeting that they forgot to invite me to. And then,
that's nice.
Yeah, and then I got an invite, and it was like, this meeting started 5 minutes ago, and like it showed up in my inbox, like, hey, you've been invited. And I was like, I think they started the meeting, and they're like, where's Wrath? The guy who was hosting it was probably like, oops, sent me a quick invite. Anyways, I attended the meeting, so that's good. My work day is over.
I just got, the meeting is continuing. I just got kicked out of it. Managers wanted to kick out everyone and argue more.
Ah, gotcha. Fun. I mean, good for them, right?
Fine by me.
Yeah, go for it. So, how are we? This is Tough Nuts, everybody. My name's Wrath. I already introduced myself, but this is Tough Nuts. Tough Nuts, why don't you tell everybody who you are?
Hello.
There he is. Oh, boy.
I am the Tough Nut. I have two of them.
Singular tough. Oh, double Tough Nut. Just what the world needed.
Yeah. I am the cousin of Wrath and longtime
lucky dog.
Friend. Lucky, I am lucky.
Yeah. To be related to all this. I mean, I know we kind of went into last episode, like, I think we're pretty much just going to have to do it every episode, like, who are you, what's your relationship with RPGs?
Yeah, so...
Go for
it. Most of my experience stems from MMOs. I've played a lot of WoW. I've played a lot of Lord of the Rings Online. I wouldn't say a lot, but I've played, EverQuest and RuneScape and Elder Scrolls Online and lots of those. And then some of the classic, single player RPGs like Skyrim and just the Elder Scroll games in general. Playing through the Witchers and
great games.
Yeah, all that stuff.
I love that you show up for these because you bring a whole aspect that I like. We play well off each other because I don't do the MMOs thing. For anyone listening, I don't do them. I don't like them. I don't enjoy them. So I've got my opinion on them, but then you've got someone who like specializes in them and is done really well with them and has a lot of knowledge on them, very experienced. So it's a good. I was gonna say good cop, bad cop, but that's not really the thing we're doing here. It's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's the best of both worlds.
Not for everyone.
You got the best of both worlds. Anyways,
But yeah, newly getting into the tabletop stuff. So I'm working on getting ready to DM my first campaign in person with a group. It's gonna be 5 players and myself DMing.
So
and then.
You wanted to bring up your players and discuss that. Should we dive into that? Should we just open it up and just face first this bitch?
Well, I'm always in for that.
I mean, no one else has joined yet, so I mean, you've got the floor.
Sure. Yeah. Let me take these off for a sec. I'll grab my books and
stuff. So what he's doing is he is starting his first in-person group. So he's got a bunch of his friends, I think 5 other players he said, that are coming together and playing a game that he's running the not Curse of Strahd, it's the Minds of Fandavlar. And he's running him through this supplement because it's his first time as a DM. I think supplements are a great way to go. I 100% back this. And so he's been prepping, getting ready. I think he's got all his player characters ready now.
Yeah. So can you still hear me?
No.
Dang it. They're all created. Everyone's
Equal.
created their character, but we're still working on some of the like backstories and connecting them to the actual world.
Okay.
But as far as like mechanically goes, yeah, they've all got their characters figured out for level 1, and are starting to understand what their characters will be doing in the world.
Sweet. All right, I'm ready. Hit me with it. We got to hear from Adam last week. If you guys missed that, episode 1 is out. You guys can see that. I mean, if you're watching this live, you can't because it's not out. But if you're watching this on YouTube, then episode 1 is out. Probably. I would probably put episode 1 out before episode 2. That would make sense. But anyways, you can see it there where Adam Devine, what's his name? It doesn't matter. We're not giving away last names. So that would be weird. This guy, Adam, one of his players, came on the podcast here and talked about his character. Actually 3 of his characters. And gave kind of some backstory and insight into them. So that's the only tidbit we've gotten. So I'm curious to see what's changed, if anything. Also, how did the other players work alongside that?
Yeah, and I've got a started list of new DM questions, so we can go through those too.
We should hopefully like Pickles or Trison. I think Trison said he wasn't able to make it, which sucks because he's our D&D 5th edition expert. Whereas like I haven't played it very much and Pickles hasn't played it very much. Trison, like that's what he DMs, so it would have been great for him to join, but I think he said he wasn't able to make it.
Yeah, one of these times we'll catch him.
Absolutely, we should. But
I think hopefully these aren't specific to 5e though. They're
okay, that's fine. But I still think I would save him, and when he is able to join, bring him back up. I think it would be a great discussion to get his input on.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm still, I've only got a couple, but I'm sure they'll spark more.
It'll grow.
But yeah. So like I said, 5-player party. The class breakdown is I've got a cleric, and he's playing kind of the classic like tanky healer role.
Oh yeah. And who's playing that one?
That's Adam.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, was that his character that he described? Yeah. Okay, so he did end up going with that character.
Yeah, he's gonna go with the cleric.
Perfect.
And yeah, I can dig into these more later if we want, but I got a cleric. Another guy's playing a rogue. He's going the classic criminal focused on building wealth, kind of devious and shady character.
Yeah, so far very very classic D&D party. You've got a tanky cleric and criminal rogue. I was getting there. There was a word.
Yep. And then the third one is, I would say, another fairly classic character, and it's going to be he was going to go with a fighter, but he changed to a ranger.
Interesting. Why?
And it was interesting. This character, I need to do some work with him to figure out really what he's going for, because he wants to play a ranger, but he wants his ranger to be focused on knowledge and wisdom similar to like what a wizard would do.
Right.
Which is interesting.
Wisdom is one of their favorite traits because that's what they use for their spellcasting.
Right. So right. Dex and wisdom, right? So
works, yeah.
It works, but he's like thematically he wants his character to be focused on like well studied, which would be more of an intelligence thing, I think, than wisdom.
Yeah.
And seeking knowledge in the world and like discovering secrets type of thing.
If you're going for a min-max, you're going for a favored, I'm trying to think of the words, but like if you're really trying to make the optimization of your character and get like 100% efficiency, then yeah, you'd want to change the class. But I'm a huge fan of mixing things up. Being a wizard who prefers muscle and like being strong, like a fucking tanky wizard, and like that would be really interesting. And they would have to have spells that kind of help with that, and like, or making a pacifist ranger or something, like throwing off the norm and kind of introducing a different aspect. So I would favor it. I would God, I'm struggling with words tonight. I would indulge it, but exactly what you're saying, like try and get a little bit more information out of him,
Yeah.
so that way you can DM it in a way that's going to favor his character's path, rather than being like giving him a bunch of opportunities to like shoot stuff. He's like, yeah, that's not really what I'm going for. You're like, okay, what are you going for?
Right. Yeah, so this is the character I think I have the biggest challenge with, because it's pretty against the mold, and
Against the great. See, I just need you to do all my words for me. We'll just ad lib this and edit. All the times I fuck up, we'll just have him.
it'll be an interesting character, because there's some parts of his character that I really like what he's going for. Like, let me open his character sheet real quick.
Absolutely.
One of his traits that he went with was perfect. So he wants his character to be focused on knowledge and wisdom, but also have kind of a pride issue of like thinking he's above other people because of that,
Okay.
which I think is an interesting take. And he wants to, like, one of the things that he said would be fun was like kind of speaking really slowly when talking to like idiots, because he knows what's up and they don't,
I've
and
seen
kind of
that.
talking down to people.
I've
And
seen that before.
um
That pride aspect. If I remember right, your character in my campaign, King's Crossing, Chapter 2 coming soon. Keep an eye out for a special guest character. Uh, he has a pride aspect to him, doesn't he?
yeah, and I think it'll manifest a little bit different.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I think with him, and you guys will meet that character down the road, but it's going to be more of a
With your character.
with
Okay.
nim Nimwort.
Nimwort.
um it'll be more of like a internal pride of like um hard on himself, and like focused
You
on,
hold yourself to a higher standard.
yes, and to the point of you're willing to like sacrifice things around you in order to make sure that like
Your
you
reputation is
succeed.
upheld.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
Whereas this pride is more, I have that knowledge and nobody around me does. Like, I think I'm above other people. Um,
That's a great character arc and a story arc to dive into and explore. But you got to be really careful you don't piss off your party.
yeah.
Because I've been in too many situations where I pissed off my party, and like I said last week, I think we were on here and I talked about I made a monk. I don't know if this was during the podcast. During one of our talks, made a monk who didn't talk and was very spiritual and all this stuff, and my own party killed me because they were like, "We hate you." I was like, "All right." So it's unfortunate, but you got to be careful that your character idea might be solid, but you got to make sure it's a good mesh with the group.
Right. And so those are the conversations I'm having with this player. Is one, why are you on this adventure? What's connecting you to, like, what's your motivation, and
Yeah,
like what's your goal with
big one.
going and doing this stuff? Because that'll drive his reason to, like, why are you with this party?
Yep.
Like the example with that rogue that's kind of a criminal background, like that has the same risk, right? Where you could really easily be hated by your group.
That happened to
But
Pickles with another person in the party was playing a rogue and turned criminal and made him out to be a criminal, but he was a good guy and he's like, "What the hell?"
right. And
Yeah.
so I think the understanding I came to with that player is like, yes, this is my lifestyle, but he understands that he needs support of others in order to achieve his goals. And so I think the way he plans to play that character is like, I'm going to do anything for my friends, because this is the group that's going to get me from point A to point B.
Yeah.
But when we're interacting with enemies or um,
Oh,
other
go ahead.
like other parts of the story outside the player party that he's like gained trust with, that's where those, attitudes will manifest, I think, more.
Yeah, and I mean, playing a criminal is very possible. It's very, you know, if you guys ever need to sneak into a building, or you're like, hey, we really need this information from this lord, but he's not giving it to us, his guards won't let us in, and then that guy's like, well, I could, you know, there's a window, and that's kind of my thing, I could sneak in and steal it, and they're like, do we, don't we? That's technically illegal, technically criminal, but as long as he doesn't get caught, you know, so as long as it's not detrimental to the party, if he's stealing from the party or like murdering and then like getting his own party involved and like blaming it on them and being like, oh, they're with me, we're all criminals, and then that party's like, what? That? No, we don't know him. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So as long as it's for the party,
right? I don't think the stealing from, like, I think my point is he's gonna do what he needs to do to benefit the party as a whole, because he understands that that's going to benefit him too with his goals.
Yeah, I think it's very possible.
Yeah, that's how I'm hoping that direction goes. And
I'm just worried about the wizard then being like, or sorry, the ranger. I'm already confused. The ranger being like, I'm better than all of you, because then that party is going to be like, we don't like you.
Yeah.
It would be a great story arc if it's done well, but with brand new players who don't know what they're doing, it's a toss up. It could go really well. It could crash and burn.
That one definitely needs some more thought. I'd say there's 3 characters that really need some more work, and that would be the one that needs the most probably so far.
Yeah, I think it's a good start. I think that you could definitely build on it, but I think it's definitely something where you and him will need to get together and flush it out a bit.
Yeah, I agree. So anyways, I'll keep going and then we can do a deeper dive. But
that was him. He's like, Wrath, shut up. Let me talk about my characters.
No, that's good. I'm just trying to get through the 5.
Yeah.
So that's 3. And then the next one's also, I would say, less commonly played probably. And it's Monk. And they're going with a Dragonkin Monk.
I don't know much about the monks. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the Monk is interesting. The way it works in 5e. They can attack so much in one turn, it's crazy. Like once they start getting their key, I think is what it's called, ki.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's key or chi.
Isn't that usually chi?
That's what I thought too, but I think in D&D it's spelled ki, and I don't know if they just did that for branding purposes or what, but I think it's chi, but I think it's written key. I don't know. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, anyways, but yeah, it's a cool class, and she is going the route of I think she's going to be a bronze dragonkin, which allows her to have the fire breath attack. Let me pull up her character sheet.
Interesting.
And I think she's thinking about going kind of the elemental, like Avatar Airbender type of thing.
Is it Dragonkin in 5e? What it's called? Is it Dragonborn?
Dragonborn.
Is it Dragonborn? Okay. Also, now I started doubting myself. I was like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you're right. Dragonborn.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's brass. So she's got that like, the long line like fire attack, and right now Monk starts really simple, but once you hit level 2 and 3, it gets complex real fast.
Yeah, I think I addressed this with you the first time you brought up a monk. I was like, they like 1-on-1, you'll lose. Like monks just get so many hits in the first, and they can they'll stun you, and then they'll just keep hitting you, and it'll be like, oh, it's my turn. Oh, I'm stunned. I can't do anything. Okay, it's their turn. 5 more attacks later. Like they won't do a ton of damage, but they do so many attacks that you're like, all right, I'm dead.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where she takes this character, because she doesn't really choose her archetype or whatever it's called for a monk until level 3.
Yeah, it's a little later on, but it's a fun character. I'd like to play monk again.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that one. And then the last one is my wife, and she's going to be playing a druid.
I don't know. I always thought druids weren't like all that favored, but your wife wants to play one. Pickles has played a druid, and a friend of mine has played D&D once, and we ended up talking, and she played a druid, and that was like her favorite thing. And I was like, oh, maybe it's more popular than I thought. I was never interested in druids, but I think they're actually a decently popular class.
Yeah, and it's kind of, you either love the theme or you don't. I feel like with druid,
Yeah.
and there's kind of a stereotype of what they're expected to be, I think. And she's funny, like she's like, I want to be a bird. It's like, how can I be a bird?
I just want to
Which,
be a bird. I don't
yeah,
want to be
which
anything.
with it's funny because you just got her gifts that were all like bird themed, and
Yeah.
but
It was her
but no,
birthday. I'm not just buying his wife gifts. Calm down.
we're a good family, guys.
Yeah, we're close like that. No, we're not. We're not. That never mind. Continue on.
Anywho, but yeah,
I'm gonna get myself in trouble.
she said that, and it's like, well, I mean, druid works. Like, you can, and yet we looked into it, and you don't actually have to be a specific, like they're called circles, like druid circles.
Yeah.
There's one that's like really focused on shape shifting.
But you don't have to be that one. I think every druid gets shape shifting, but there's ones that are specific to it. The other option would have been ranger because they get a pet. I think at the start. I think at level 1 they get a pet, familiar, animal familiar. So that would have been another route, but that's not technically her being the bird. But you could just let her play as the bird as well. Like, oh, you've got 2 characters technically. But druids absolutely first choice because you actually get to transform into a bird.
Yeah, but I think the route she decided to go is she'll get the transformation. She can be a hawk, and there's going to be some challenges with that because flying can complicate things. Complicate things from a DM perspective.
Yeah, it can definitely, like, you're like, oh, how are you guys gonna climb this mountain? She's like, done. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's really not that bad because as a party they have to work together. So yeah, she might get up there, but then, okay, are you gonna help your party or did you just abandon them? Like, because they still have to climb.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out how it works with speed and in combat, but we'll see. And like with opportunity attacks and stuff, like I don't know.
Does she get shape shifting at level 1?
I think it's level 2. I'd have to look.
Okay, so you get a little bit of time to kind of get your feet wet and figure it out.
Yeah, and as a whole, I think. Oops, sorry. Her plan is to. I hit my mic.
Yeah, it would barely hurt it. You're fine.
Yeah, I think she's kind of planning on going the ranged, more of a support role with the druid. So she's going to be using magic stuff and really trying to focus on controlling enemies.
Interesting.
So I think it's a cool, like, she's taking like entanglement and similar things to that.
I had when we played through an RPG game called Solasta, Crown of the Magister. I brought it up to you. We were trying to do a 4-player game. It crashed and burned, but we were trying to do it, and during that time, there was one player playing as a druid, and yes, there was. Well, I have to sneeze, and it's really bugging me. But basically, what it was is there was during this time. Yeah, thank you. During this time, there was 2 of us playing. Let me correct myself here. So there was 2 of us playing, and we had 4 characters. So I made my own character, he made his own character, and then we had 2 extra characters. So I made one based off of Mr. Pickle's character called Grunkle. So I had one character that was that, and then I had another character that was based off one of my community members, my moderators in chat, who is named Tiger, and he wanted to create a druid. And so we had a druid. And that druid came in so clutch because they're basically an all-around support. It's kind of like a bard, but more, I don't know, a bard is all around, so they could like be up in the fighting, they could be, supporting, they could be casting magic, they could be, whereas a druid is more magical support and like nature support. And I mean, you can go many different routes with it, but this druid came in so clutch because they were able to hit heals. They were able to summon creatures to help us fight. They were able to, like you said, control the battlefield and like put down entanglement and all the stuff that really turned the tide. And so it's a very open to interpretation character where you can you have a lot of different options. I feel like with a fighter, you're a fighter. With a barbarian, I feel like barbarian is one of those you don't really have a lot of options. Yeah, I think they've made some archetypes for it, but basically you swing and you hit, and then you swing and you hit. That's your options.
Yeah.
Whereas with the druid, it's just like, okay, I've got like 50 different things I can do this turn. What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
It's cool.
Which
It's a good one.
it's good and bad because for new players that can be overwhelming. But yeah, I agree. As a whole, it's a cool character to think about playing.
Yeah, it'll be. I kind of wish you were streaming it because I kind of want to watch. I want to see how
Yeah.
this does. It would be so cool to see.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about, depending on how it goes, potentially rerunning it as a virtual campaign.
You're more than welcome. I got a platform for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe Adam would be willing to play it again, even though he knows the story, and we'd make it different. But
Yeah, you play as a
would
different
it be weird?
character, or kind of twist it up, or you just do like Curse of Strahd, another beginner module that you could run just to keep getting your feet wet.
That's funny you say that one because that's the next one I was planning on doing.
Yeah, Curse of Strahd's really popular. I was surprised you didn't do that one first because Curse of Strahd, I think, is. No, I don't know. I feel like both of them are kind of like.
That one's bigger.
Is it?
This one's like
I haven't run through either of them, so I don't know. But
this is a book that I made myself because there isn't a book that exists for Lost Mine of Phandelver.
mm-hmm.
So like I printed it all out on cardstock and laminated it and stuff.
But if you guys are ever looking for a DM who's like committed and puts in the work, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, you can see all my notes.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. What's funny is I remember he sent me a picture. We decided not to stream. We weren't going to play Baldur's Gate 3. We were taking a break, and by that I mean he decided, and I just had to go cry about it. But he was sitting down to to work on his D&D game, and he sends me a picture, and I saw the books. He had his TV up, and the books in front of him, and a drink and everything. But then I saw all these sticky notes, and I was like, this guy's going deep. Like he's about to get real deep, and you can see from that notebook, I was right.
I've gone through, and I mean I can talk through this.
Yeah, what are you using these sticky notes for?
So I don't know. Can you see this?
No.
It's
you got the
just
blur.
blurry.
Yeah, you got the blur effect on.
Hold on. Can you see it?
It was real pretty. I mean, I knew I was blind, but I didn't know it was that bad. Chat, you guys saw it. I just couldn't see it. NPCs, monsters, other loot. Wow, see, I can't read. Handouts, maps, factions, critical notes. I like it. Factions, yeah.
So that's kind of how I organized categories.
It's good. It's a good start because when you start making your own campaigns and homebrewing, you're gonna need to know, like, okay, what is the critical information to have?
Yeah.
That's some critical information. That's kind of
what I'm thinking. Yeah, it's like this is kind of teaching me, like, all right, if I want to build a dungeon, like I can just go through a really well built one, and I don't have to copy the dungeon, but I can copy the content that I need.
Yeah, piecemeal it, kind of. Okay, I really like this from this one. I really like this from this one. I'm going to create my own from all the things that I enjoy. Yeah.
Right. So I've got notes throughout the story. I'm about halfway through on like my detailed notes. So it should get me through, 3 or 4 sessions at least.
Mm-hmm. Probably more, because that's another big thing with DMing that you learn. So like I'll like for King's Crossing, my campaign, huge shout out. I'll prep, one session, and I'll be like, okay, I'm ready to go. And that session took like 3 sessions to get through. Because just players do other stuff, it takes time, they're RPing, they're talking,
Which is great.
That's it's perfectly fine, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but, I'm trying to be, because I don't know where the players are going to go, I need to be prepared way in advance to a certain extent, in case they pursue something that I wasn't ready for.
Absolutely. I mean, you can only prep so much, and eventually, they might just... Players are notorious for just throwing a wrench and everything, and you're like, okay, the ship's arrived. You guys are all ready to go? Yeah, we're not going to go there. What?
Yeah.
That's everything I had prepped. Where are you going?
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. we'll see what happens. You know,
Yeah, you
there's a
never
lot
know.
of leads with this story. People watching probably are familiar with it because it's so common, and we'll
Probably.
see. Yeah, you know, we'll see what they do. But yeah, I've got there's five major like
You're talking to the
factions
right
or
guy because I don't know the story. I didn't play it, so.
yeah. Sorry, my dog was being dog sat and
Oh,
was just returned.
nice.
Anyways,
Hi, dog. Welcome back, dog. We missed you.
um, but yeah, there's like five major like factions or organizations that all can be they all have like people like NPCs that are a part of them, and then
And
they all
different
have
hooks pointing you towards the adventure. Yeah.
right so different parts of the story that they're aligned with, and then there also is potential for players to join these factions. So
Hmm.
um, all that stuff I've got notes throughout on like details for that.
Yeah. It's a big.
Um,
It's a big. I don't know. Some people, it's you got to have a little bit of everything because you never know what the player is going to relate to and connect with.
yeah,
Like, in one campaign that I ran, I had a merchants guild that I can't remember what they were called, the Emerald Cove or something. Um, and it was a merchants guild, and Pickle's character, the original Grunkle, was like, I want to join this. I'm gonna rise in the ranks. I'm gonna do all their quests, all this stuff. And I was like this is just a merchant's guild that I threw in, and he was like, nope, that's it. I want that. And I was like, well,
yep,
okay. But then none of the other players were like, yeah, we're not joining it. And I was like, okay, that's perfectly fine. You know, it was it was Grunkle's thing. So you never know what the characters you're going to connect with. So it's good to have a little bit of splattering of everything. You got to
yeah,
splatter.
yeah. No, that's good. um, but yeah, I've got
Terminology
you
is
know
on point.
I've got other notes like anytime there's enemy interactions, I've got all of them named just in case I need a name. Um,
Yeah, that's another thing I've done before. There was one campaign where I had like over 300 NPCs like detailed like names, stories, kind of passions, interests, and I was like, why did I do this? Like it's
I
so much work, but I
I
think
mean, I
it's
don't plan on necessarily disclosing all the names, but just
right.
if
You
the
just
players
have
say,
it.
you know, they try
Oh,
to
hey,
interact with
I'm
the
so and so. What's your name? You're like,
right, right.
yeah,
I'm prepared for that, and I don't necessarily need to bring it forward unless I have to, but I'll have it in case.
sure, all true.
And I'm not going into the backstory on everyone, just being prepared with names and stuff, and
Yep.
I can be creative in the moment.
Yeah, you don't always need
Um,
to. I mean, you walk down the street going to get coffee or whatever. How many of those people do you talk to and learn their backstory?
right, right.
You might talk to the barista who you're like, oh, hey, I'm Wrath. And they're like, oh, I'm so and so. Get out of my face. And you're like, okay, sorry. You know,
Yep,
that's how everybody
yep.
talks to the barista, right?
Yes. I've got a NPC list of all the like really important characters and just like basic things like where they're usually at and what quest line they lead to, and if there's any connections between them and the player characters, kind of outlining that.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that'll be handy. And then another big one that I was working on is I'm gonna try to utilize the town board next to the inn as much as possible. Um, Especially if the characters aren't latching on to a hook that I'm providing them.
Hmm.
Um, and I've come up with like um, trying to balance not railroading the characters and giving them options to go do these quests, but also trying to encourage them to go do things in somewhat of an order. Otherwise, if they go and do the hardest thing first, then they're probably not going to do so hot, you know? Um,
Yeah. Yeah. You want to give them direction, but you don't want to force their hand.
right.
So it really is a juggle, but I mean, that's the other problem is you have a brand new group, so you literally have no idea what to expect. Like with Pickles, I played with him for 15 years, so I kind of have an idea what hooks he's gonna latch onto. I have an idea of like what, and it does help learning their characters because if they're like my character is really associated with money, okay, I'm like, hey, you could make a or you could have like a shady guy come up and be like, hey, you want to make a killing? And he's like, yes. You're like, perfect,
Yeah.
I got him. You know.
Yeah.
So if they give you hooks like that, it's really easy to work with. Or if you know, hey, like I know that Pickles is really for like saving people. I'm like, perfect. So I can provide a situation where it's like, hey, my child's been kidnapped. I need help. And Pickles is going to be like, yeah, I got you.
Yeah. 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 And so that's all good. I think my thought is, you know, there's some events that just to tell the story, I'm going to need the players to go do. Then there's
Yeah.
other events that are, you know, I'll have leads to, and if the characters choose to pursue it, then great. If not, then that's fine. They don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
But what I don't want to do is I don't want to provide a lead to something that's just gonna for sure they're all gonna die. Like level one, like they need to be progressed in the story a little bit more for it to even make sense for them to tackle this type of thing.
There's a balance to that because it I don't know. There's a point where it's kind of fun to provide a situation where they learn, hey, we're not there. Like if they get into a situation like I had one in King's Crossing where they found it was a giant like monitor lizard type of thing moving through the swamp. It was deaf, but it was listening to their voices and their movements and was tracking them. And they were like, hell no. Like they left. And you don't have to fight it. Like it's a situation where it's like you can understand, hey, we're not high enough level, we're not ready to handle this right now. Let's go prep, and it gives them like incentive. It's kind of a different way of giving a hook because it gives them, hey, I want to go train and get better so that I can come fight this thing, and I know that there's a reward for killing it or whatever.
yeah.
I'm not ready to kill it yet. Like it will kill me, and I'm not for that. So let's go train. How could we go train? Remember that lady who gave us that hook that none of us wanted to go do? Let's just go do it so we can get better, so we can go do this one that we want to go do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think balancing what you're saying, which I totally agree with what you're saying.
Thanks.
I think I think what I'm planning on doing is with the town board, I broke it up into tiers of, once they complete this part of the story, then just even taking out the like, are they ready for something conversation, just a progression of story idea. Like, okay, that would probably open up these new leads from people.
No, yeah,
So
yeah.
like,
I see what you're saying. So it's
um,
kind of story driven towards like, okay, now you've unlocked this chapter.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so I'm breaking it into phases for the town board of like, because I've got, a whole stack of printouts, right, of things that people would be giving them and stuff.
Mhm.
And my plan is to like once they get to town and XYZ happens, that opens up like this person's gonna go to the town board and put up these leads.
Yeah, I do similar stuff with King's Crossing. So like people in King's Crossing haven't been around heroes adventures, and now that they have these hero adventures in town, and they just recently come back from like their big first quest and shown, hey, we're successful adventures. Now people are gonna be like, hey, you might also
Maybe
help
they
me
can
with
help me.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And so yeah, I've got that broken down into 4 stages, and I think it'll work well because they'll still have options of what they can do, but some of the like much more difficult stuff will be coming later unless they like really dig into it and find it on their own outside the town board, which is fine. I'll let them do that.
Hmm.
But that's kind of how I'm planning to structure that.
No, I think that should work fine. I
Yeah.
mean, the
And
plan's
then
fine until it doesn't work.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think that's most of my notes so far.
so you got a
Um,
druid, you got a ranger, you got a rogue, you got a cleric,
and a monk.
and a monk. That was the other one. Yeah,
Yep.
solid. What are the races chosen?
Yeah. So
I know it's a dragonborn,
yeah, dragonborn monk and a wood elf, or sorry, yeah, wood half elf druid.
wood, half elf. Okay,
Yeah, that's what she went with.
yeah, a
And
twist.
then
Okay.
the rogue is just human, classic human.
That's fair.
Um, And
You get
then
good boost for being human.
yeah,
You
and
would know.
that's just
You play a human in Baldur's Gate 3.
I do, yeah. And the guy that chose human didn't care at all about what the race gave you. Like he just wanted to be a human. So
Really? That's rare. Normally, we
yeah,
talked about this on the first episode. No one ever wants to be human.
yeah, that's just what he wanted to do. So
Yeah.
that was his, his cup of tea. But
Fair enough. So you got a human, you got a dragonborn, you got a wood half elf.
yep. And then Adam's character is interesting. His is a ghostwise halfling.
That's
Um,
right. Yeah, he's getting all fucking silly with it. Okay.
he's going deep into
Ghostwise.
the lore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Ghostwise. That's right. I remember he explained it, but I don't remember all the details about it.
really high level. Ghostwise had a civil war with the other halflings, and there was kind of a schism between the two groups.
Okay.
And now his character is wanting kind of to make reparations, I guess, with the other group. He wants to heal that wound,
Interesting.
um, which is kind of cool.
An interesting
Um,
story. Sometimes you have to be careful about that's a great backstory coming in, but you also have to understand if you come to the table and you're like, hey, the campaign is you guys are going to the mines of Fenda, blah blah blah, and he's like, I want to go heal all the hobbits, and you're like, well, that's not what we're doing.
well,
Because I only speak from experience because I had a game where I was like, hey, you guys are knights on this island. It's an archipelago, and you guys are knights, which is more like a navy, and it's like the most honorable thing. You guys are training to be knights and blah, blah, blah. And one of the players was like, I'm going to hunt a necromancer. And I was like, I didn't have a necromancer. What are you talking about? And they're like,
yeah,
I'm leaving to go hunt a necromancer. I was like, no, you're not. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. They
yeah.
didn't end up playing.
I understand what you're saying. I've worked with him. Adam, because of his enthusiasm for the game, has worked with me a lot
Yeah.
to connect his character to the story.
Yeah.
And so I've
I
taken
don't see it being a problem. I know Adam, and I'm like, I don't think that'll actually be an issue. I'm just starting. There's potential if you like other players are doing this. Adam,
Yeah.
I know him, and I don't think it'll be an issue. But if you had a
Yeah.
player come up and he was like, I'm going to hunt for angels in the sky, and you're like, actually, you're going into a mine in the ground.
Yeah. All this stuff is he's working with me on it, and I'm
That's
actually
good.
taking some NPCs and like changing races and stuff to make certain things work.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, you could even like
Which is
twist up
cool.
some stuff in the story to make it fit some of the character stuff. I like it.
Yeah, so like he doesn't know this, but I'm making one of the characters that they're going to interact with a halfling of the groups that he fought with.
Perfect. Oh, that he fought
Um,
with. Adam,
or like
don't
fought
watch
against.
don't watch the video. Actually, no, watch the video. Just watch it on mute, so I still get the views.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Where is
I
he?
don't know. He's been off work for an hour. I can tell you that.
I don't know where everybody is. Usually, were we here this long by ourselves last time? I thought people joined in.
I don't remember.
We were here for a while because I think we talked like all MMOs and everything before anyone else joined us.
Yeah.
Because I remember I've had so many since last week's episode. I went on Fiverr and had like some character art or some like thumbnail art drawn. Just went to like 2 or 3 different artists that were like $5, and I was like, perfect. I don't really care. I need some kind of thumbnail. And people kept asking like, so what's the topic? And I was like, there isn't. It's RPGs. We just talk. And they're like, but what's the topic? I was like, it's RPGs. It's really not that hard. Like, it's just RPGs. I'm not like trying to make this some big production where it's like, here's our specific. No, it's just, and like people have asked me like, oh, what's your discussion topics for today? I'm like, whatever people talk about. As long as it has to do with RPGs. If you came in here and was like, I want to talk about Disneyland, I'm like, well,
yeah.
Is that a D&D game?
after doing this for a few months or weeks, I don't know, maybe you'll have to start thinking about specific topics because
people run out of stuff to just bring up.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I mean, like, you got new campaigns, you got new characters, you got, maybe there's a new video game that comes out. Like, there's a new Lord of the Rings, or not Lord of the Rings, D&D movie that's coming out next week.
Yeah, there is a new Lord of the Rings game.
New Lord of the Rings game? Which one's that?
It's called The Return to Moria, I believe. It's a survival game in the Unreal Engine.
Ooh, what's the
Um,
when's the release date? Is it already out? Is this
it's
something?
supposed to be spring of 23, but I'm skeptical because I don't see a date. So
Yeah, and when they do that, it's usually more like fall or spring of next year.
yeah,
Or they release it spring of 2023 and it's like 25% of the game.
it's made by Epic Games though.
Well,
So yeah, who knows?
yeah. Yeah, who knows where that goes. What's it called? Return to Moria?
Yeah, Lord of the Rings: Return to Moria. It looks like a cool concept, and the graphics look beautiful from like the spoilers I've seen.
They don't have it up on Steam. Oh, you said it's Epic, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
here.
it should be over on Epic. If you're gonna send it to me on Discord, I can't get it because we're on cameras on Discord.
Well, I sent it anyways.
Perfectly fine. Now I just have a Discord notification sitting down there. No, that'll be cool. Survival game. Is it? It's a single player game.
No, you can play with 8 people. It sounds like.
Oh well, sounds like we have
Up
another
to.
game to do a playthrough of.
Sounds like we do. Yeah.
As long as you're not sick of me yet.
No, I'm not. Yeah, it's.
Good
I'm
answer.
just reading from their bullet points. So,
Yeah, yeah. I can't
survive
pull
the
it up, so
dark.
teach me.
Yeah, survive the dark. So it's got survival elements to it,
Okay.
managing like food and sleep and temperature, noise, all that.
Fun.
Base
Like,
building is something they mentioned.
so it's Ark, but in Lord of the Rings.
That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Base
not mad about
building.
that. I've got thousands of hours in Ark. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, there's co-op. You can craft like tools and weapons and stuff. You can uncover like magic artifact stuff, mine ore and jewels.
Oh, so they got like crafting and everything.
Yeah.
A little bit of a grind to it. I'm down.
Yeah, so I don't know. It sounds like I think it's set in the fourth age, which would be I believe after the events of Sauron and the Lord of the
I
Rings
was
and that
like,
whole
if
story.
I remember right, wasn't that third age?
That's yeah, end of the third age, start of the fourth.
Right.
And
Yeah.
um so that would be like them going back to the mountain after all that to reclaim it,
Yeah. Oh,
which
okay. So
is a
you're
cool concept.
reclaiming it. Yeah. No, that's a great idea because it was during that end of the third age where they found out that apparently we don't own Moria anymore. This
Right.
wasn't, if I remember right, they were. I mean, granted, I'm only going off the movies, but they showed up being like, "We're gonna have a feast, and all my homies are here," and then they showed up and like, "Where everybody at?" Right?
Yeah.
And that's why
Yeah,
they
but
first
even
discovered that.
before that, they knew that it had been taken because if you go to like the story of the Hobbit with
Mhm.
Roar and Thrain, like
Yeah.
there was battles outside of Moria fighting for the mountain and they lost. Um, but
So it's just Gimli who didn't know.
well, no, because after the Hobbit, Balin went back to Moria to reclaim it, but and they thought he had, but when the Lord of the Fellowship went to Moria, they were expecting Balin to be, you know, the caretaker of it,
Oh, okay.
and
So it had
he
been
was
claimed a
killed.
while back. They thought it had already been reclaimed.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
cool.
Yeah. So it had changed hands a couple times.
And you know
Um,
this from books, or you know this from lore in the movies, or
most books. Yeah,
I need to go through and reread these books.
they're so good.
I have to go
They're.
remember how to read.
Do you do audiobooks?
I haven't done one personally, but it sounds like fun.
The like if you drive sometimes
Every now and
for
then.
your work, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So that'd be a great time. Andy
absolutely.
Serkis, who played Golem or Smeagol,
Okay, yep.
he recently redid The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit with him voice acting it, and it's fantastic.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to go listen to that. Where would
Yeah,
you find that on Audible or something?
yeah, yeah. Audible
Not
and
sponsored.
or just go torrent it. I don't care.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! I didn't say it. He says I don't care. I give you permission. What time is it? 7:53. Okay. Um,
Oh, and the last character,
Getting to
because we did 4 of the races. The last
right.
one
Yes. Yes. Sorry.
is actually interesting. It's going to be a Asimlar.
Really?
Yeah. So he's doing a
That's
Asimlar
the
Ranger.
Ranger. Interesting. I could see that because the Asimar would definitely be a holier than thou race to play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I could definitely see that kind of blending in
I'm
with his.
superior,
Yeah.
focused on knowledge and wisdom and magic. Like,
Yeah. In King's Crossing, those people live on the moon and they are considered like gods. It's like it's the equivalent of Thor and the Asgardians in the MCU, where they're just another race of people in the universe, but because they came to Earth and like visited, they're considered like gods by the people they were visiting. So that's how the Aasimar are seen in King's Crossing, because they're like that holier than thou angel race.
Makes sense. Yeah, I had to read through that class carefully and make sure he wasn't going to be just like crazy OP.
It is a not like, if you look at the classic playable races, that is not one of them.
Yeah.
But I think that D&D, it's 5th edition has also taken a lot of those races and turned them into playable races. So you've got stats and everything that work.
Right. So yeah, I think it'll be okay, but kind of fun, something different.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Huh. Well, it took us an hour, but we got through your 5 players.
Yeah.
That's a good chunk of the what was I talking about? I was talking about how the topics of the podcast and people being like, well, what's your theme? What's your topic? Blah blah blah. I had a lot of people who were like, oh, well, last week was about new DMs and DMing a session. And I was like, well, I mean, that was a very small portion of it. Like that was like the last half hour of it. But I mean, we talked about MMOs, we talked about Skyrim, we talked about Lord of the Rings, we talked about all this stuff, but all like the people who were saying this weren't there for all that, so they're like, oh, last week was just on this, and I was like, no, it was kind of on this, and then like that was just a part of it. So I mean, for this section, we just got through different playable races and characters and brand new players making their characters for a D&D 5e game from a brand new DM.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to ask your questions, but I was really hoping other people would show up so you could ask other people besides just me, because you're only going to get one perspective, and I don't know if that's very fair, especially mine.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah.
I would like to discuss, especially since you're here, Baldur's Gate 3. I feel like we could discuss that. It's a based off D&D 5e. It's a setting from that. It's a video game that came out. They've got Baldur's Gate 1, 2, and 3, which I would like to play through all of them, because I'm pretty sure all of them are multiplayer. So it'd be fun to do a full playthrough of all 3 games. But we recently started a Let's Play of it. I'm really hoping we finish it, because I'm editing those videos and I'm rewatching them, and I'm like, oh, this is so much fun. Do you remember?
I think we will.
Do you remember when I fell in that crypt like an idiot and we died like 4 times because of it?
Yes.
I fell in that crypt and they just kept killing us.
Our first
we couldn't get out
very
of the
difficult combat. Yes.
We were getting frustrated. You could tell in the video. I just edited that video, and like you could tell we were getting frustrated. It was pretty funny. And then like when we finally beat it, we were both just like silent. Like we were kind of like woo, but it was just kind of like a.
If I remember correctly, at that moment too, my wife had just come home, and I was trying to deal with stuff here too.
Yeah, there was a point where you had to step away from something, you came back, and I was like, yeah, you died. You just got one shot, and you're like, I'm dead. Okay. Because like I'd finished my turn, hit end turn, and then was waiting for you to come back. During that, they just one shot you and killed you, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
You hear me go,
oh. That bullet.
I haven't gotten to those. Yeah, the bullet. Oh man, we've had some frustrating. Because that
day was more frustrating because of glitches.
Yeah, the bugs and the glitches. I think that's kind of a reason why we both took a break from playing it. We haven't played it recently, like the last couple days. There was one day where you played it for like 11 hours straight, and you could tell we were having fun. And then the next day we played it for like 2.5, and you could tell we didn't have fun because it was just literally 2.5 hours of bugs and glitches. And we were like, seriously?
Yeah, it threw a wrench in things. It was a really cool area, but it really pulled you out of the game.
It really did. You were just constantly going around being like, okay, how do we get out of this bug? that was the. It's gonna be a hard video to like edit and upload because a lot of it is just us being like, okay, what? Okay.
Which is, it's such a bummer because it's an awesome game.
Yeah, and you can tell like we stopped communicating. We're just kind of in our own heads, being like, ugh, you know, like at the beginning of the series, like I'm watching episode 1 and us like communicating and being like, oh, I'm gonna head over here. Wow, I got this note. Let's read it. Blah blah blah. And then like at the end, by that video, we're just kind of like,
yeah, it's probably important. I think it's gonna continue to be important for us to stick together.
Yeah,
I think anything.
We got to go back to our roots, which I've realized, and from watching it, I've realized it's a lot of me running off, and I'm like, I need to not do that.
Yeah, I think it's both of us, but I think it helps because if you start like missing stuff, then it gets frustrating.
Yeah, you miss stuff, or you lose the story, or you kind of got to stay immersed, and so. I think, personally, I think it's good that we're kind of taking a break because it gets us refreshed. We get to go back in, not straight out of a bunch of bugs, and we get to go back in and be like, okay, we're ready.
Yeah.
Going with a positive attitude. So I'm hoping that'll happen. I'm excited for it. Yeah, I edited that video of the fight with where I fell in the crypt, and it was hilarious because it was bad. And it was our first like big fight. Like the other fights that we had were kind of okay. Like there's not really a threat here. Like
this is how you use an ability.
Yeah, that was our first one where it was like there's a threat. Like we're dying. We need to do good. Like
figure out a strategy.
Yeah, so that's
think you ended up doing the whole fight.
I think I soloed that fight. Yeah.
I just got up, got killed. Got up, got killed.
You were distracting them for me, so I appreciate that. But that was, I think, the first time that we were like, okay, we need to start like planning out our tactics and like our fights and like figuring out what our character can do because we need to start working together. And I think we got through a couple of fights like doing that. We did really good, and then I think we kind of went back into our I do this, and it wasn't like what are you planning on doing so that way I can support you and make sure that I'm in the right position so that way I'm not like standing in front of the enemy, blah blah blah. So I've been rewatching. I was like, I think it's good that we took a break because it allows us to kind of review and go back in like, okay, I'm ready to fix what we were doing wrong before.
Let me play a devil's advocate a little bit here. So like like what you're talking about with the communication and like supporting each other that way while in a fight. I agree with you. That's definitely the right way to play, and like it makes the most sense, and we'll probably have to do that to play the game. However, the concept of D&D is supposed to be like each one of those turns is like 6 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're really like trying to be authentic to the story, like characters probably wouldn't be having all that communication in the moment. We would have to develop these strategies communicating like around the camp and stuff.
Yeah, or seeing how that person fights and kind of adapting to it and being like, okay, I understand how your wizard fights and the spells they're going to use, so what would my cleric do knowing, okay, I know he's probably going to cast a spell because it's like his favorite spell, this is a perfect situation for it. Where should I be so that, one, I don't get hit by it? Because like you have area of effect spells, right? You have ones where I'm always in the way. Okay, maybe I don't run up and hit him with my hammer. I hit him with my, radiant damage from a distance instead, so that way I know you can hit him with that acid because I know you want to do it, and I know I'm going to be in the way. So I think that you're right. I think that's a good point.
So how authentic do we want to be to the role play? But just a thought.
Just have fun with the game, and as long as it works for us, then fuck it. So, I mean, we just got to figure out what works, but, I mean, we'll have to get back in and play and figure it out. I will say tomorrow, Tuesday, for those watching this later on, tomorrow's Tuesday. I am going to get my motorcycle fixed. That's probably going to be my plan for most of the day, because I need to wait for the tow truck to come get it, and we're going to go get it fixed, and then I'll be coming home, blah, blah, blah. I don't know when I'll be home. But I'd be available to play after that. Technically, Tuesday is my variety game day where I can play with anyone who wants to, but no one's here, you're here, so I'll pitch it to you first if you want to take my Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm on board. I've got a chiropractor appointment after work, and then after that I'm free.
Okay, cool. Then we'll plan for tomorrow evening, getting back into Baldur's Gate 3 and continuing the series.
Sounds good.
So you guys can look forward to that. Alright. Well, you have any other points you want to bring up? Any other discussion topics, or you want me to dive in and pitch some of mine?
Specific to Baldur's Gate?
Anything RPG?
Anything? I mean, I can wait on my questions, see if someone else shows up.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is I have a topic that I really want to bring up, and it's actually Pickle's topic. So I'm kind of waiting for him to show up because it's something that he had on his mind, and so I don't want to discuss it without him. Plus, it'd be good to have other voices in for this. Weird that other people don't show up. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's hard, but this is kind of the idea of the podcast, where it's just kind of it's an open table. Anyone can show up, but I'm glad you showed up, or else I would have been sitting here talking to myself.
No, that's all good. I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't have to figure that out now, but it could also shorten the time too. Maybe that makes it easier for people.
Sure. Well, I don't know. Maybe because like I think it was, if I remember right, last week's episode, a lot of people showed up in the last half.
Yeah.
I think it was you, myself. I think Fred and Brando showed up. Right? Was it Brando? No, I don't think. I don't know if Brando showed up. It was Fred. I know Fred showed up.
Fred did. And Pickles and Adam.
Yeah, so it was us. Yeah, I think Fred showed up right around the same time Adam did.
Yeah, let me text Adam, see what he's up to.
Yeah, get the homies in here. Maybe they all forgot. I don't know. I feel like I've promoted it enough. Also, I don't want to be that guy who's just like, hey, show, hey, show. Because, I mean, none of them are required to be here. I think, actually, it's right around this time that Pickles is usually available, too, so he might pop in. Hopefully. Let's see.
All right, we'll see. I don't know what Adam's up to tonight. He might be busy, but...
I will talk about another point. So I'm looking into getting a house. And the idea is getting a house with friends. Because one, I'm single, and two, I actually like having roommates. I don't have a problem with it. As long as they're good people and like you guys get along. Because I've had bad roommates before too. But like I'm 31 years old, but I don't really care. Like, I mean, if I have a house with like a bunch of my homies, I'm just like, cool. Like, one, rent's really cheap, so that's great. Two, I mean, it's got to be a big enough house where you all like kind of have your own space and your own like personal bubble. But also, you know, if I ever want to do a movie night, if I ever want to have a game night, if I ever want to host an in-person D&D group, you just have people there, and you're like, hey, you guys want to hang out? And they're like, yeah, sure. It's like, sweet. So I've got friends actually from where you live that are like, screw this place, and they all want to move here. And I was like, perfect. Yeah, yeah. I was like, perfect. You're more than welcome. So we're all looking into going in on a house together, and it's gonna be decent sized house. We're looking like 6+ bedrooms. We're looking outdoor, like a detached like shop, also a big garage, because you know we've all got stuff we got going on. Like I need a place for, you know, I've got 3 vehicles right now. You know, I'm getting another motorcycle, so like there's my, you know, stuff that I'm gonna need places for. Plus, you know, recording and room for that. You know, other people like work from home, and so they'll need an office. So anyways, plenty of space to make sure that we have. But with all that, like we've been pricing it out and looking at houses and stuff. With all that, I would be paying $500 a month. And that was a place with a pool. So, you know, with a pool, I'm paying $500. So it's not bad. But why I'm bringing this up and the RPG aspect behind this is because some of these people that are moving to this house are D&D players, and I was like, how cool would it be to turn like one of these rooms or like maybe the garage or part of the shop or something, have cameras set up and build like a D&D table, and build a nice table, maybe even one of those ones where it's got like the table is a TV screen, like a flat laid down, and you put like glass over the top, and that's your map, and you can like pull up a map on your screen and you guys can play. Yeah, so we're looking into that, and like I'm talking with the homies, and they're like, yeah, like we could totally build like a D&D room. Like I was like, that'd be awesome, and then I could like host in-person games and stream them because you'd have cameras, you know, showing the game table and everything, and I think that'd
fly
be really cool.
Adam and I out there.
Hell yeah!
Heck yeah!
You guys fly out once a week?
I would do it.
Yeah, it's like
well,
$200
kill me, but...
$200 a flight right now. That's only $800 a month. No big deal.
Well, I clarified. You fly us out.
Whoa! Hang on. wait. Let's take a break here real quick. I'm gonna shout out Adam. So Adam's here. Adam, I know we did this last week, but we kind of got to do it every episode because there's new people. No one ever knows who's gonna pop in. So this is Adam. Adam, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your experience with RPGs.
Howdy. My name is Adam. I am a new to D&D player, but I've listened to a lot of podcasts. Currently, I'm with Tough Nuts' campaign. He's putting on he's DMing my very first campaign. Looking forward to it.
Hell yeah. We just finished a whole hour-long conversation talking about you personally.
Oh,
no,
good things, I hope.
Talking about he was just bringing up all his players and what the characters were that they made and everything. Have you heard of everyone else's character?
I've heard bits and pieces. I know we got we got a druid, we got a fighter.
It's actually, he didn't go with fighter, he went with a ranger.
Yeah,
ooh, okay. Interesting. All right.
I'm curious to know why. Like, what was the draw from fighter over to ranger? Because they're two very different classes. And so I'm curious.
Initially, well, it was kind of weird. Initially, he wanted to dual wield.
You can technically dual wield with both.
Right. And so I explained that to him. And then I talked to him, like, do you want to be, like, kind of nimble, agile, stealthy, like, light armor type of thing? Or do you want to be, like, tanky, protected, guarded? And he really wanted to be, like, the first. Like, he wanted to be more dexterous, less strength focused, and
which again you can technically do with both, but if you're going for flavor, ranger definitely fits that style more.
Right. And so that's kind of what he went with, but then he changed his mind and didn't want to do melee at all. He wanted to be focused on range. So,
which again you could technically do with both.
Right, technically both, but he read through, like, what they get, and he was more interested in ranger at that point.
Because with Baldur's Gate 3, we have a fighter, Lozarel, whatever her name is, the Githyanki. Lae'zel, yeah, she's a fighter, but someone's blowing up the chat. Hang on. They want to know what your dog's name is.
This is Gilligan.
That's Gilligan. It's great.
Gilly.
Hi, Gil.
You say hi, Gilligan, just goes, ha! There he is. He's living his best life. Lae'zel is a fighter in Borderlands, Baldur's Gate 3. But I've been controlling her, and I've been definitely using her range over her fighting, just because I'm up in the fight, and I was like, we need a ranger, so I've kind of been using her at ranged more than fighting, but she's good at both. She's actually better at melee, but interesting. So he went with the ranger route. Plus, you said he wanted to go with more of an intellectual style of fighter, which is such a different build. It's very interesting. It's, what'd you say, against the mold?
Interesting. Yeah, he wanted to do, like, I think fighter, and I'd have to check this, but they're more focused on strength and dex, I think. Like both of those.
Fighter, strength, and con, I believe.
Strength and con.
Or maybe that's barbarian. Fighter might be strength and dex. It's been a long time.
I'd have to look. But the ranger is definitely dex and wisdom.
Dex and wisdom, yeah, because rangers get spellcasting. That's the big difference. Fighters are primary fighter. Ranger is fighter caster.
Okay.
Is a weird way to put it. That's not 100% accurate, but
sure.
Rangers do get spells. I think it's starting at level 3. They start getting spells. So
gotcha.
That's where their wisdom comes in, because they're a wisdom caster. Just like a warlock is a charisma caster and a wizard is an intellectual caster. Rangers are a wisdom caster.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. Adam, you don't know all this yet, but yeah, he's kind of going like a focused on like study build, like intelligence, wisdom, but wants to be a ranger. So it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah. Basically, he's building not a classic D&D character. He's mixing things up and going again, which is fine. It's perfect. I mean, you can do whatever you want. So,
heck yeah,
it'd be cool to see. What else were we talking about? Let's catch them up. Basically, we talked about that for an hour. And then we were talking about there is a new I mentioned this briefly. We haven't really gotten in and talked about it. There is a new D&D movie coming out next week.
Oh, I didn't
Something.
realize it was coming out that soon.
Yeah, I think it's next week because I have a friend who's going to see it next week. I plan on doing. I don't know when it comes to streaming, but I'm gonna do a watch party on Discord so we can all watch together. Whoever wants to join. Um, I did a whole review of it. That video will be going up on YouTube whenever. I was actually impressed. We can talk about it here. I was very impressed. I was like, it's not super cringe. I was curious because the only thing I could relate this to is the World of Warcraft movie that came out a little bit ago. I was curious if either of you guys saw that.
Yeah,
It was garbage.
I
was
didn't watch it, but I heard it was terrible.
it was trash.
So when I heard about this Lord of the Rings, or not Lord of the Rings, this D&D movie coming out, I was like, oh no. I was like, it's just going to be another World of Warcraft movie. And I saw the trailer. Now, granted, this is just an initial trailer, but I watched it and I was like, I'm actually really impressed. Have you guys seen the trailer for it?
I have, yeah.
I saw your reaction to it.
Oh, yeah, you popped back in when I was doing the recording. I was waiting. You went BRB, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do a video in between.
Yeah, I interrupted your video.
Yeah. No, if you saw the video, Adam, what were your thoughts on it, the trailer?
Well, I was really so let me put my thoughts together here.
Yeah.
So my thoughts on it were, my immediate reaction was, oh, not another Guardians of the Galaxy sort of slap a bunch of people together sort of thing. But it seemed like they were going over a lot of different stories all at the same time. So I'm curious as to see how the pacing is going to turn out on the movie.
I could see that because that is one thing. I discussed that, but in a weird way. I was showing how much different magic they used, and I was like, there is a ton of different magic going on. Like, so many different flavors, so many different styles of magic. Like, that's one thing that D&D has. It has so many different flavors of magic and style. I think there were, 11, 12 schools of magic or something. And I feel like they'd used every single one. And I was like, I was talking about, wow, it's really cool to see, like, that they're using, that they're hitting all the different stuff. But I think that goes right into your point. Like, are they going a little too big for one movie? Like, how are they going to give it the attention it deserves? Or is it just going to be like a boom, 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 boom?
Maybe they're not going like an actual archetype, and they're just saying, there's a
the wizard
supreme
can cast
wizard
all of them.
that's like super well studied and knows everything. And
Good beer. Yeah. I thought it was interesting. They brought a bard in as one of the main characters. And I was like, it was actually funny because I paused it and I was talking about, hey, a bard is like a great main character to have because they kind of are a very well-rounded, kind of do everything class. But they're not specifically good at any of them. They're just like a jack of all trades. And then I hit
Lore
play.
master.
What?
As a lore lore masters of D&D.
Yeah.
There is a lore college.
Yep.
College
there
of
is.
Lore or whatever.
Yep. And so then I hit play, and it goes into them being like, "What do you do for the group?" And the bard's like, "I make the plan." And they're like, "And then what?" And he's like, "Well, when the plan fails, I make a new plan." And they're like, "You make plans that fail?" And he's like, "No, wait, hang on." And I was like, "Yeah, that describes it perfectly." I don't know. I thought it was good. They didn't have big named characters or actors that I could recognize. Granted, I'm not a professional at this and don't know everyone, but I was like, I don't recognize any of the cast, so that shows okay, like they had to, maybe it's a lower budget, like they couldn't get Chris Evans, they had to go, get other people. So that was one thing. The other thing is, it's a D&D movie. Granted, D&D has become really popular recently, especially with 5th edition. It's been in media. It was in Stranger Things. It's been in iZombie. It's been in Community. It's been in all kinds of stuff. And what's that? Not IT Credit. There's Big Bang Theory. So it's been in media, and I think it's gotten a lot of popularity lately. And so it makes sense that they're making a movie about it. But I'm not sure if it's gonna do as well. Like I feel like with the lower budget that they've got, and not this is an assumption, But with them trying to fit it all in one movie, like D&D is a lot. That's why campaigns go on for years, because it's a lot. And if you're trying to fit it all in 2 hours, like it's gonna be fast. It's gonna be, I don't know.
I feel like it fits a show better, just in general.
I would see it fitting a TV show, and you wouldn't need a huge budget. I mean, TV shows have less of a budget than movies. And so I feel like a TV show would make more sense, but I feel like it's more of a commitment. Like, if you make a movie, you make it for this amount of time, you release it, you're done with it. If you make a TV show, you have to keep going. And I don't know if they wanted to commit to something that they weren't sure if it was going to go or not. But I mean, you look at like Game of Thrones, that's D&D. It's just not D&D, but it's like Game of Thrones is a perfect D&D campaign, and it did remarkable. They just didn't, but you don't roll dice.
Yep.
So I mean, it's definitely possible, but I think they went the movie route, and I'm worried that it won't hit expectation. Is basically the long and short of it. The trailer looked great, but it did. I agree with you. I think they looked like they were kind of reaching.
Yep.
So we'll see where it goes from there. But I don't know. From what I could tell in the trailer, like the acting looked good. I didn't see any problems. Like it looked good. It had some quirky bits, like funny stuff in there. Some cool scenes. One scene that I really loved. Do you remember the battle scene? There's a big battle scene where a black dragon flies across the field and just burps out this black ooze acid.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that? So I thought it was really cool that they brought in a different dragon that doesn't just shoot fire. This is a black dragon that's acid. It's an acid dragon. It flies across the field and just spews out all this acid, and you can see it like burn acid into the ground and like the smoke coming off it and stuff. I thought that was really cool. I slowed that scene down and I was like, that good on them. Like they've obviously done their research. They have an idea of what D&D involves or like includes.
Yeah, they went more into the they went a little deeper than surface level as to the things that are in the world, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, instead of just being like Game of Thrones and they just throw in a dragon who can breathe fire, they were like, D&D offers other stuff. Let's use a different thing to show, that what's available. I don't know. I thought that was super cool. I thought the fight scene was done well. I slowed it down. I laugh at extras a lot because I always love to like look at the background and see what the extras are doing, because like there's so many shows and stuff where like they're in a coffee shop and the extras are like talking, but you can tell like they're not talking about anything. Like, and then they'll like turn and look at the actors and then it's so funny. I'll pause videos and I'm just so anyways, in that video I was watching the extras, and there's one instance where when that dragon flew over, it knocked some people down, and there's like two actors, extras, and they're all dressed up as like orcs or whatever, right? And they go to get up, and one of the extras just hits the other one as they're getting up, like punches them, and I was like, what the hell was that? He just punches this other orc as they're getting up, and I was like,
is that your bonus action?
Yeah. He's getting up. Well, I mean, it was like they were both orcs. They were both friends. He like punches him as he's getting up, and then like grabs him and is like, "Let's go." And I was like, "Why'd you punch him?" You guys just got attacked by a dragon, fell over. There's acid on the field, and you're just like, "Damn it, we could have been home."
Inspiration.
Yeah, you made me come out and fight. That was funny. Anyways, so that'll be cool. I'm excited. I'm excited for it to come out. I'm gonna watch it. We'll see if it's any good or not. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll be interested.
Yeah,
at least
definitely worth at least a watch.
Yeah.
Can I, Wrath? I don't know if this is possible on Twitch streams, but can I share the page for the Lord of the Rings: Return to Moria?
Yeah, I don't think why not. It's a reaction. Shut up, Twitch. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Share your screen. Yeah, so this is another thing we're talking about. There's it's a video game coming out for Lord of the Rings called Lord of the Rings Return to Moria, yeah?
Yeah.
And, are you going to play this?
I can if you want me to.
Why not?
Let's see.
Well, shut up. We're going to watch. Shut up, chat. Shh.
Is it going to go big for me?
Well, if you work hard enough.
Hoi, 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 hoi.
Well, let's look at the pictures first.
We're adults.
Can you guys see that at all?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so we were talking about this earlier. So it's got crafting, it's got some like grinding. You have to go get materials. You can craft them into different stuff like mining and stuff to make items. I would assume, weapons of the like. You said it's up to 8 players.
That's what I've heard.
So maybe we can even rope Adam into a playthrough of it.
That'd be awesome.
That would be
Heck yeah.
wonderful. I told Tough Nuts that we should rope you into our Baldur's Gate 3, and he said, no, never.
That is not what he said.
No, he said we definitely would, but it'd have to happen. See, that's right here. Hang on. So the lighting effects, I don't know. I've watched videos of this guy who used to be like going to school for game design, and he plays video games now on YouTube, blah, blah, blah. And he always stops and comments on lighting effects and sound effects. And look at this lighting effect. Like, you have to remember, this is a video game. There's no actual sun. So the fact that they've created this beam, and you see how it hits this and reflects. You see how it hits that banister and kind of reflects, the light reflects off the side. That's so cool. Like, how do you do that? There's no actual sun. Like, there's no light there. That's all just pixels.
Computer.
Yeah, it's cool. It's very well done. Can you go back to that? Look at the water. I feel like that's actually decent water effects. I mean, like, you'd have to see it in person for sure, but I mean, for a game that hasn't even been released yet. Oh, Jesus, sir.
Oh, hello.
Oh, wait. Go back. Go back. There's another one right there.
Yeah.
So I think is that the same place? I don't know, because you can see there the water looks Sir. You can see there, doesn't the water look the exact same as the water in the other one?
Yeah, it does. Similar texture.
Better to me slightly.
Yeah, I was just talking about how it's great water effects, and then I'm like, wait, is this just copy paste? Because doesn't it look like, so imagine that other picture. See where that sun's hitting that railing down there or whatever that is?
Yeah, down there. So
imagine that other picture is someone right down there in that railing walking through there. The light's shining on it, and they're looking out at that water.
Yeah, maybe.
Am I wrong? That kind of looks like it, right?
It looks like
it.
It
looks like it.
looks a lot closer, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it does look.
Maybe a different time of day.
But
which would be interesting.
Like a cool game.
That would be cool. Yeah. Wait,
can you go? I'm gonna see if I can find the.
I looked it up on Steam. It's not on there, obviously, because you said it's done by Epic. You said.
Yeah, let me just look on YouTube. Hold on. Okay. All right.
Popping in. I am in.
All right, let's watch.
The Forge's fire has long gone cold. Under the mountain of Durin's folk, a shadow took our treasured halls. Now it calls us back. Khazad-dûm. Speak, friend, and enter.
I take back my original statement. I don't think it's Ark in Lord of the Rings. I think it's. How do I stop watching this? Stop watching. I don't think it's Ark in Valheim. I think Valheim is a far closer game reference. It's Valheim, but in Moria.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I would relate it to that a lot more. I think it's got a long way to go. You can tell from that, like they had a good foundation, but I think there's a lot more that needs to be added for it to be a game worth playing. Like if it comes out as a $60 game and there's about 3 hours worth of content, you're gonna be like, all right.
Yeah, we'll see. It looks
Yeah.
interesting to me. You know, I'm always interested in something Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, no, I'd absolutely play. From the video, they popped in with I saw 6 dwarfs run up. That first intro where they all ran up to the edge and were looking over it. There were 6, so who knows? You know, it could be more. Pickle says, "Oh hey, it's Minecraft." It's not Minecraft. But the base building looked cool. I'd be interested to see. Because they could go a lot of different routes with it. If they go like an ARC route where they have public servers and like there's a bunch of people in there.
I don't think that's what they're doing, but yeah.
So that's where I think it would fall more towards Valheim, because Valheim didn't do that. Valheim has, you have one server with a group of your friends and it's PvE.
Right.
Like, I mean, I guess you could do PvP where like you could attack each other, but it's really not what the game is built for. And I feel like this would fit that a lot more.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Pickles, are you joining us? I've been holding off on discussing your topic because I was waiting for you. We also requested Chison because we had some questions about. Actually, you'd be a great guy for it too. You had questions for DMs. Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was saying that Chison should be here because he's the most experienced at DMing 5th edition, but it'd be good to have some other DMs in here.
I'm gonna step away for a second, go grab a snack and a drink. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is drinks and discussions. I've already finished my first one.
Period.
Get on it, boy. Hey, Brando's here. Brando, hop in. How you doing, man? Yeah, Pickles. I mean, you might have bad notes, but who cares? Oh, hi.
Hey,
Hey guys.
Hey, what up, Brando? Welcome in.
howdy.
What's up?
Welcome in, everybody. It was funny. Tough Nuts and I were sitting here just by ourselves for the whole first hour, and I was like, I could have swore other people were going to join.
You start right when I get off work, and I get stuck in traffic by people who don't know how to accelerate.
That's perfectly fine. That's kind of why I made it 3
Pisses
hours.
me off so much.
Hey, they invented a horn on a car for a reason.
Yeah,
I'm
to honk when you're horny.
yeah.
No.
I just sit there and
He
see
said,
that I don't
"Whoa."
attack anybody.
No, I made it a 3 hour segment, not because it specifically needs to be, but just that gives plenty of people, maybe like Tough Nuts is able to join for the first hour and then he's got a dip, while Brando can pop in and be like, hey, I'm here for 2 hours, and then he's got a dip, or Pickles is able to pop in after an hour, It just kind of allows people to come and go and hang out and chat. And
It's like we're at a bar with friends.
yeah, where everybody knows your name. Pickles taught me that one.
I just know Pickles by HR.
Yeah. I'm from HR.
Well, let's kick this off the right way. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Drinks and Discussions. Hopefully everybody's got a drink or some equivalent.
Let me go grab a Haterade real quick.
Cameras off. This is great.
Do you really want my camera on?
You guys
while
don't
I'm
have to.
scowling and looking like an angry monkey. Okay,
There's
fine.
no
I
requirement.
will.
There's no requirement.
No.
I encourage you to have a
from
drink,
me.
whether it's a water or an alcoholic beverage or whatever your preference is. So drinks are encouraged and discussion is encouraged. Cameras is up to you. It's not required. You guys are here. You're here to hang out. The whole idea is it's just the homies hanging out, talking shop. What up, beautiful?
What's up?
There he is. I like the look. I haven't seen you in a while. That's a new look.
Thank you. The beard was gone.
I was gonna say, yeah, you were clean
It was
shaven.
just a stash.
You
And now
coming
I'm
for
trying to
my
let it go again.
you coming for my title? Trying to take the beard gang?
No, I
Gang,
can only
gang.
grow beard to like here, and then it just
Okay.
like stops, and it like irritates me.
Mine does
Like,
too.
no
This
further.
is like as far as I can get it. I'm like, I haven't cut any length off in months, and it won't go any further. I'm like, more.
Yeah, it only grows so far, and then it stops. And like, are you gonna go any further or no today?
Yep. Yep, this is all it does. It gets poofy, like it goes out the sides, so I have to get it shaved up. But I've literally told them don't take any length off, and they haven't taken any length off. It won't go any longer. Whatever.
I think it's a guy thing to where, well, obviously it's a guy thing. I mean,
I don't know a whole lot of women that have a better beard than me.
hey, there could be out there.
I don't personally know them. Yeah, Pickles. Pickles,
You know
Pickles has had a beard. Pickles, you have a red beard too, don't you? Cool. Are you here?
No, I wanted to ask him if his beard went so far and then stopped, but that question will go unanswered right now.
Thank you, left.
I think you said drinks and everybody like scattered for drinks.
Yeah, that's what it was. Tough nuts, you get a drink?
Yep.
Atta boy. Drinks and discussions.
I'm drinking the Genuine Haterade Orange.
Oh, there it is. Get it.
Yeah.
We got Gatorade, we got Pepsi, we got whiskey sour. What you got, Adam?
I've got a Glendronach cast strength batch number 11.
He's going all fancy on.
I was gonna say you got real fancy with that. I don't think I've ever had that.
Is that like a gin? Is that a vodka? Is that a whiskey?
It's a Highland Scotch.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
One of my favorites. Glendronach is definitely my favorite type of Scotch, and they have a
batch 8, but this is a new one.
Yeah, so the cast strengths are the ones that come out in specific batches. We tried the batch 8 a little while ago, a hot second ago, and it's probably one of my favorite whiskeys just because I love the deep, like, dark fruit and raisin taste that Glendronach has, along with a lot of like baking spices and that just a little bit of peatiness to tie it all together. So this one.
I've been addicted to a rye whiskey you can't get anymore called Three Rangers.
Ooh.
I have a bottle of it left.
Glendronach 8 is a $200 bottle of
That's
Scotch.
overpriced.
That's way overpriced.
Oh, okay, I just looked it up and I was like, oh, I should try it. I was like, that's not $200 bottle of Scotch.
It's about 100.
Is it triple barreled or is that single barrel?
Let's see. Oh, I'm trying to read. I mean, it's a single malt Scotch, but it's finished in sherry cask. At least the batch 8 was.
Yeah. So is the batch 11.
Usually, if it doesn't say triple barrel on it, it's made out of a single barrel of whiskey. So most times, what they'll do is they'll take 3 barrels. They'll take a less aged, a more aged, and a middle aged, and they'll combine them to get more volume.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
yeah, it doesn't clarify that on this bottle.
You figure it out, Pickles?
Hey, Mr. Pickles.
We meet face
Hello,
to
Pickles.
face finally.
Someone called him blonde today. I'm trying to figure out how did they get that. Like you don't even have hair.
Because my hair is like I gave myself the Bobby Hill haircut, and so
yeah,
blonde.
It's somebody.
Damn it, Bobby.
Well, there was myself, there was him, and there was Fred playing a game together. The Strange China Golden Rouge. We were streaming it last night, and someone popped into Discord and messaged Pickles, and I'm like, "You were the blonde one, right?" And we're all sitting here like, "Well, I'm not blonde.
Yeah.
I guess that's you. I don't know how you look at his head and be like, oh yeah, blonde."
Maybe you think there's more hair here.
Yeah, that's hair. Yeah.
It's that light reflecting off.
Yeah.
I can
get that.
I can see it.
That bleach blonde Barbie look
Yeah.
is what you got going on. Classic Barbie Pickles. I think this is this is what I was bringing up. So welcome to Drinks and Discussions. Pickles, what's your drink of choice tonight?
Well, now I'm embarrassed. I just have cheap beer. The cheaper, the better.
Oh, you got what is it? Light?
Yeah, Keystone
Keystone Light. That's a different one. You're no longer on the Rolling Rock trend, no?
Yeah,
Is
Rolling
it,
Rock's no longer the cheapest here.
Is it cold at least?
Oh yeah, it's been in the
that's-
garage all day.
Oh boy.
That's all that matters right there is if it's cold beer.
So we got a Keystone Light, we got a Gatorade, we got a Pepsi, we got $200 bottle of Scotch.
Oh god, now I'm even more
And we
embarrassed.
got cheap whiskey sour. We're all across the board tonight, but welcome to Drinks and Discussions, guys.
I got a dollar bottle of Gatorade pickles, so you're good.
I think he's got his
50
beat. Yeah.
cents.
Who's got? Oh, I was gonna say, who's got the cheapest? Who's got the cheapest?
And this came from a Costco pack, so that's got to be pretty cheap.
I think
Yeah.
Tough Nuts might have a speed. That'd be interesting each week. Try and see who gets the cheapest drink, but then you're just gonna have like a water you got from your faucet or something. maybe I would do who would have the most expensive, but I would run out of money, and that's not cool. So. You're like, yeah, I bought $1,000 bottle of whiskey, and now I'm gonna go cry. But welcome to Drinks and Discussions. Huge shout out to the homies who have shown up. Most of us introduced ourselves. I know some of you guys introduced yourselves on the previous episode, but if we could, just a real recap: who are you, and what's your experience with RPGs? Why are you here? What experience do you have that you feel like you bring to the table? Let's go. The two newbies who just joined.
Pickles.
Oh, yeah, I guess I'm the newbie here. I am a bitter old man, and I have negative baggage about RPGs, and I'm learning to send my negative baggage to somewhere else.
Is that
and
carry
so-
on or check-in?
Great intro.
Yeah, what an intro. I was
I've
about
played
to
for
say.
so many years. I've
it's-
played with so many different groups and so many different
Mhm.
systems and genres that I found myself just neurotically thinking about a theory on why people don't like certain genres in games, even if they like the genre like in movie format or TV show format. And I spiraled, and then I got home and I got onto the Twitch and I was watching you guys for a bit, and I'm like, God, I'm such a bitter, cynical old man.
No, I'm
compared
glad
to
he's here. I'm glad you're here because you've got the
No.
newbie who's like, actually, I don't know where you guys are at, but these two for me, Adam and Tough Nuts are the newbies to D&D, and they are passionate. I mean, he made a whole book about it. Tough Nuts wrote his own book, and and like he made that whole book himself, printed it all out, put it all together. And Adam had like 3 different characters that spanned across like 3 different trilogies of their own backstories. So you've got that aspect coming to the table, but then I was really glad that Pickles is here because Pickles had a revelation recently, and I won't get into it too much because I want you to talk about it. But he had a revelation recently that he doesn't like D&D, and I'm gonna leave it at that. But I'm glad that he's here because I love. I mean, this podcast isn't about D&D. It's not, and so it's about RPGs, and I feel like you can have different opinions on RPGs. I feel like that's what breeds discussion. And it's perfect. So I'm so glad you're here, Pickles. I want you to talk about it because you have an opinion, and I think it's a valid opinion. So I'd love to hear about it. But before we get into that, Brando.
I'm Brando. I'm just a business owner, and I used to play D&D every single Saturday night for like 2 years straight.
Yeah, I've shared the story before, but Brando is the reason I ever started on Twitch. When I first discovered Twitch, that was the first stream I ever watched was the Roundtable. It was them, him and his group, playing D&D. It's the first stream I ever saw on Twitch. I got on Twitch, didn't really know what it was, and popped into that one and sat and hung out with them every weekend. It was like 2 a.m. for me, so I'm like laying in bed like half asleep. Like, wow, cool.
We did stream pretty late. We streamed from like 10 p.m. Central Standard Time to like 8 a.m.
Yeah, it was some late streams.
Yikes.
So a lot of times it was me having to like watch recorded versions because I wasn't awake. But yeah, and then they were the ones who I watched, and I was like, I want to do this. So I got on Twitch and started doing my own stuff, and that's the reason why. So huge shout out to Brando. That's why we're all here.
Yay.
So we're here. There's a couple different topics that were brought up. I had some, Pickles had some, and I know Tough Nuts had some. Before I dabble in any of those, Adam, did you have anything that you wanted to bring to the table that you were like, this is pressing, I've been thinking about it, I want to bring it up to you guys? You don't have to.
Not really. No, I just enjoy listening to the conversation that we can bring up here because you guys were talking about it from a DM perspective, and I like to kind of think about like, all right, so as you guys are going through this, how can I be a better player to like support my DM and make sure that the storytelling aspect has like some sort of like aid on the party player character side of things.
That's actually a huge topic because I've been a player in a lot of Pickles games and a couple other games, but a huge aspect of, and something I really came to realize is I want to be a good player. And how do I best do that? And I would literally ask Pickles. So I was like, how can I be a better player so that way I can help the team? Like, I want to be a team player. His most recent campaigns, I've literally gone to him and be like, I want to create a character that is a team player. So you know what the game is going to entitle. You know what the group is. What kind of character should I make to make myself the most useful team player I can? So I think that's a huge topic and one that is worth discussing. Absolutely. Brando?
Yeah, don't take things too seriously. I actually got a funny story for this. You can actually go back on our Twitch or actually our YouTube and watch this. So our DM brought up like this horse racing incident, and it was a riddle. And we had somebody in our group that was become a biological engineer. And it was something about when a horse runs around the racetrack, it was something about the hooves touching. Now, I would have to go back and watch it. And one of the players in the group literally sat there and did the math of how many times the hooves would touch the track, going around the track so many times.
Were they an engineer?
They're a biochemist engineer.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah.
It's
Sounds right.
riddles. I mean, Pickles. You can see immediately when he said Pickles. Both whenever he said riddles, Pickles and I were both like, oh.
Yeah, it had our DM raging. I mean, we just
Puzzles.
went on for an hour.
I think puzzles.
Nobody likes riddles. Not even the DM. Nobody likes sitting there suffering while your players aren't getting it. The players hate not getting it.
There's such a useful tool to use in D&D, but it never goes well. I've never seen it go well. I've heard tons of stories that never goes. It's always like wow, like I feel like an idiot, or oh my god, that took forever, or oh my god, that was so stupid. Yeah, I've never heard of it going well.
Especially if you have a group, half of us didn't take anything really seriously. We just joked around and had fun. And then the other half was like dead serious. So you got that mixture of us over here agging on the serious people to figure it out.
Yeah, come on!
So we sat there for like 2 hours agging them on.
Yeah, that's a tough one. All right. God, man, there's a lot of topics. What do you guys want to dive into first? Pickles hate, tough nuts questions, or what it's like being a player?
I want to know why Pickles doesn't like D&D.
Let's go, Pickles.
Yeah, that's my pressing question.
Let's go. He's talked to me about it, and he was like, I don't want to bring this up because I feel bad. And I was like, no, it's valid. I think it's a great topic. I'm excited for it. I'm ready.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Beer real quick.
All right,
Well,
let's
we're
all
at the
top
table.
off our drinks.
Yeah, well, and I'm the one that's called out for drinking Keystone Light, my sponsor. I'm not my sponsor.
God, could you imagine if we got sponsored? Like,
No,
all of us.
they don't support me.
Yo.
They do not support me at all.
Could you imagine?
Do not clip that and then leave off the part where
Listen,
I explain that they do not sponsor
Remember,
me.
drink responsibly. We got to say that by law.
Adam, if we ever get sponsored by Keystone Light, like we'll all get shipped Keystone Light, you just have to pretend like you're drinking it, okay? And we know you got your $200 bottle of scotch, but you just have to be like, this Keystone Light.
Make sure you pull up with one of those red-handled styrofoam coolers with the 2 red clips on the side. With the
There you go.
Well, now we're definitely not getting sponsored. All right.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Yeah,
Keystone
back-
Light. Okay,
let's
so
hear the hate. I'm so excited for this.
I don't like. Okay, I don't like D&D. I'll say it right there. I've played 5th edition. I've played 3rd edition. I've played a little bit of 4th edition, but not enough.
And
to really-
3.5, we played 3.5 too. Didn't we? Am I lost?
We did briefly. The
Yeah.
core books that I had in person were 3rd edition.
Oh.
3.0.
Never mind.
Yeah,
We won't talk about
we
it.
were like that. But, I don't know. I'm not a big fantasy person. I'm going to make everybody hate me even more. And I may as well just grab my beer for like protection.
You're allowed to have an opinion, my man.
I don't like Lord of the Rings. Okay, it's something that I never got, and I really wanted to enjoy because my entire family enjoyed it. I've just never really been a big fantasy person, but I've always been a big like pretend person. So I liked the idea of a system of organized make believe in a sense where you could be like, no, these are the rules, so you don't just get to say you are invincible. That's not how it works. There's rules. And
Depending
so
on the
I like
DM.
that as a concept. What was that?
Depending on the DM. Because we've had a
Yes.
DM where he was like, yeah, you can just custom everything.
Yes.
That didn't go well.
But so I don't know. As a system, I feel sort of boxed in by choices, and I like systems that are more a la carte, where you can pick what you want, and there's no real rules between, other than you have to meet the requirements. Like things where you buy your skills and you buy your feats or your class traits a la carte, where you can be like, I want a little bit of sneak attack with my fighter whatevers.
Yeah, so it's kind of a custom build class. You don't have classes where you're locked in. Like in D&D, and these guys are new to it, they can, you guys are fresh on it. You know, hey, this is my character, and at level 2, this is what I get. At level 3, this is what I get. At level 4, this is what I get. What he's talking about is, okay, you guys have gotten 2 advancements. We did this recently with the Strange Stone of Golden Ridge. It's in a system called Savage Worlds, and what it was is you got 2 advancements. How you spend that was literally up to you. You look at the book and you build your class how you want. So, like, I chose this, and that's how I built my class. Whereas the other player chose 2 totally different things because that's how he wanted to build his character. That's
So question
is an example.
What
Question
do you
on
mean by
that.
advancements? Oh, sorry.
It's like a level up. It's just like you got 200 experience points. It costs 100 experience points to get this feat, to raise an attribute, whatever it was. So
Well, let's use your character as an example. Your character increased his strength because you wanted to be more able to use heavier armor, and generally, I assume, be able to kick doors in as well, since you didn't really.
Well,
have
I got
kick a door in.
a guy came out with me with a baseball bat and kicked my ass, and I was like, okay, I gotta up my strength because that sucked.
Yeah, so you were lifting weights and improving your overall strength and general ability there, and you also picked reliable because you wanted to make yourself more of a team player. I think your character had a lot of emotional changes during that week.
Yeah, my other player
so
hates me, so I was like, I need to be a team player so they'll like me again.
And so I think that's how it works more in Savage Worlds, and systems that I tend to lean towards is you're given a general open, you can pick whatever within a general framework and meeting the requirements. But you're more broadly defining your character rather than specifically defining your character with levels that are more organized.
So I think there's 2 parts to this. One, he doesn't like Lord of the Rings, the classic fantasy D&D.
Yes,
the other part is he doesn't like the system, the classic, you're a druid, this is what you get at level 2, this is what you get at level 3. Like, you're locked in. And
have you ever thought about multi-leveling, Pickles?
Like
to where
I played D&D, and I hated every moment of it. It's like, so I can make fire, why can't I make a wall of fire? Like, if I have fire, I prefer systems where it's like you have broad strokes abilities where you have the power of fire. How do you use it? Well, like, it's up to you to be like Flaming Sphere or Burning Hands. And I feel so boxed in when the system's like, no, simmer down. 4th level is when you get Wall of Fire. It's like, well, I have a Flaming Sphere, right? Yes. Can I just have it in place, and if people go through it, I don't know. It's a Wall of Fire in that instance. It's just, I'm okay with limits. I just hate being boxed in by arbitrary, like, landmarks. And I get why they do that, and I don't know. That's why I feel bad, and I feel like a bad person right now because you guys are so enthusiastic, and I'm jealous of your enthusiasm here.
There's a whole nother style and something I want to get into, but I think, Adam, you had a question?
Yeah, I had a question about the Strange Worlds. Is that what it's called?
Savage Worlds.
Savage Worlds. About that leveling and progression system. Is that built out more kind of like what we would think of in like video games, like a skill tree where you had to have like certain abilities before you could build into other abilities, but it is just still a general like block of things that you can choose from? Or is it like just literally just a list and you can pick them out at will as you go through?
You have a few choices. You can choose to increase one of your attributes, which is like your characteristics in a D&D, strength, constitution, dexterity, that kind of thing. And you can do that only once every few levels. So usually wise not to like frivolously spend that way. But you can also pick skills, which are more refined areas of like an attribute, specific areas of knowledge versus increasing your intelligence. And then there's a third area that is essentially every class feature you could think of, and some of them do have trees, but for the most part it's like, I want to be a martial artist, so you take the martial artist. You can take improved martial artist later, but there's all sorts of things that you can use to more or less define what your character does and how they do it.
Well, and then there's some where it's like, I want to take this, but it requires, okay, you need a spirit of D8 or whatever, you know, like you need this attribute at this level to be able to qualify for it. So there's some prerequisites that you do need to grab. I don't know if you mentioned that or not.
Gotcha.
Like if you take martial artist, you do need to have the ability to do hand-to-hand combat. Trained already. You can't just be like, I'm a martial artist, but I don't have fighting training.
Know how to fight. So it is very, I mean, it is like, for me, I've played across so many different systems, and it's been a long time since I've played D&D proper, that for me it wasn't that like a big deal. I was just like, okay, like this is what we're playing, I play it. But looking at it, I'm like, wow, that is such a difference to what normal players, I don't want to say normal because normal is a terrible word to use, but classic D&D players, if they were like, hey, yeah, I'll play this game with you, and then you brought them into Savage Worlds, and I'm like, what do you want to level up? They'd be like, where's my character sheet? Like, doesn't it tell? Like, I could totally see the offset from that.
There's a lot more choices.
I couldn't do it.
That's where it's good to guide your players. I think with that, especially at the beginning, it's like, what do you want to play? Let's build it together. Because there are a lot of options, but at the same time, I've seen more convoluted systems. Like you can read through all of your major choices pretty easily in the core rulebook, I think, for the edges. And it's generally packed into
edges
areas
are like
where,
feats.
yeah, the edges are your class features, feats, what defines your character and what they can do. But I didn't feel like it was that overwhelming. But yeah, if you were just approaching it suddenly, yeah, I could see where there's a lot of options, and sometimes it's better to have like a more rigid progression.
So like I said, there's two different sides to this. One, he doesn't like the classic fantasy. Two, he doesn't like the classic system. No. It's a perfectly valid. You don't need to feel bad. I mean, you don't prefer it. That's perfectly fine. So I go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't prefer like the sci-fi, like Star Wars-y kind of thing. I did as a kid, but like now, even movies, like I'm not that interested. So I mean, I don't feel bad about it. It's just the way it is.
So I was gonna hold off bringing this up, but basically the system. I mean, there's two sides to his story, and I wanted to address both of them because I feel like both are interesting points. So the classic D&D, he prefers a different version, and I've played through because he doesn't enjoy D&D, and I want to play in a D&D. I want to play in a tabletop game, so I'm like, okay, whatever system you choose, I guess I'll play because that's my only option. So we played across the board: Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, Traveler, Savage Worlds. Like, we played pretty much everything except D&D. And after doing all that, I'd say it's worth it because it's fun to get outside the bubble and like learn new different ways of doing it. Where I'm like, oh yeah, like Pathfinder sucked at doing what they were doing, and you know, like Warhammer sucked at doing this part, or like, oh, this sucked at doing this part. And I understand why he jumped systems, because it's like, okay, yeah, this system was fun, but it was really shitty at like this, and it kind of ruined it. And so I'm gonna jump over to this one. We're gonna try it out, and I feel like I'm one of those people who I'm always willing to try something new. I'm having fun with it. Like, okay, yeah, I'll learn it. Like, why not? Like, you know, it's a new experience. And so I feel like I'm the right player because he's pretty much just like, I'm going to go try a new system. And I'm like, okay, when's the game? Like,
let's do it.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't care.
That is true.
My group, we were bad. We found ways to break the system. So one time I had a druid, and my druid's pet was a giant owl that could lift 1,000 pounds, and my DM didn't realize that until it was too late.
Wait, you're an owl that could lift 1,000 pounds?
No, my druid's animal companion was a giant owl that could lift 1,000 pounds. So we came up to like 2 horse riders.
That's written in the system?
Yeah. 5.
What?
Yeah. Yep. And we came up to like these 2 horse riders that attacked us, and I just set my owl down because it's an instant hit. You don't really have to roll for it. And just picked one up, took it all the way up, and dropped it down. And the other guy got away. And after that, the next session, we were in a cave for the rest of the campaign.
So Tough Nuts was actually talking about flight, like how to deal with flight.
Yeah.
Put them underground.
Yeah. Our DM just stuck us in a cave. And at the end of the campaign, he goes, "Do you guys want to know why you guys were in a cave?" And I go, "Sure." He goes, "Because you're fucking giant owl. That is why you were in a cave." Great.
Yeah.
You can't abuse things like that. I think if you use it sparingly, it can be fun, and the DM will allow it. A good DM will allow it. Like, there should be times to shine when you have benefits like that,
especially when you use it creatively.
Yeah, and when it becomes like your crutch, then crutches aren't fun to write about.
Oh no! He just threw two horse riders at us that were OP that we weren't supposed to beat.
Oh,
we weren't supposed to beat him.
So you made him feel like a small
yeah.
skeleton.
Yep. And
Can't
so
words.
They were supposed to be like the final fight or whatever in the campaign. So, but no, we found, so like one of my friends would make a Goliath that just had stupid strength, and it would just one shot everybody. So yeah, we found ways to break the system, because a fighter gets 3 attacks, and the Goliath has like plus whatever it is to strength. It has massive like strength bonuses, so he just one shot people. So it was funny.
That's the good thing I think about my group of players is they're all new, so none of them are going to be. I don't know this for sure, but I'm 95% sure none of them are going to be playing the min-maxy type of play style. They're going to be very focused on how do the mechanics of the game work, and they're going to get into the role playing. Just because I know this group, I'm close with them. They just haven't been introduced to D&D. So.
See, there's strengths and weaknesses. When you have new players, you got to explain the game to them. You got to walk them through the game, but they're not going to find ways to break the game. If you have veterans, they know how to play the game, but they're going to find ways to break your campaign.
Right.
Depending on the player, because like I've been playing for 15 years, but I've never once come to any of Pickle's games and been like, I know how to win. Like I don't build a character where I'm like, I'm going to build a character. Like, okay, you're putting us in this situation. I know how to build a character where I'll be able to deal with those. But Pickles has had, and Pickles, I'm going to call you out. He's had games where he's invited some of his other friends who do exactly that. And then they're like, wow, Wrath, you're a fucking shitty character. And I'm like, yeah, one of us is. You're right.
Part of...
Go ahead.
I think maybe this is my own, naivety. Is that a word?
Naivety.
Yeah.
That is
for you.
You get what I'm saying.
It's a word for you.
But like, I think a lot of that responsibility can come down to the DM at the start of, kind of the concept of a session 0 and like, setting the expectations for the group and the campaign and being clear with that outside of the game. And yes, the responsibility falls on the players at that point, but if you're with a good group of people that like respect each other, and
you can see like, Pickles has thoughts on this. You can
see. I know.
I'm curious to hear what Pickles' rebuttal is, but finish your thought.
I don't have a rebuttal.
I want to know your thoughts. I can tell. You're sitting here going, Because Pickles has, you have more experience than me. I mean, I started, I think, 15 years ago with Pickles, but he was at this a couple years before me. So you've had more experience, probably, than all of us, I think. And you've had your ups and downs. You've seen the good and the bad of groups. And I've been there for some of them, and it's sad. It's not a fun story. But I'm curious because I don't mean to cut you off. I want to hear the rest of your thoughts, Tough Nuts. But Tough Nuts is coming in as a new DM with a good group of friends, and
which is rare.
All these high hopes, and like no negativity. He doesn't have all he hasn't been cheated on. He hasn't been like emotionally abused and dumped. So from Pickles and I, who have just constantly been cheated on and dumped and treated like shit. I'm I'm curious. I'm curious. Are you? You know you're muted, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, are you trying to talk to us?
Oh, I switched microphones.
Yeah, you muted yourself and switched microphones. You're just all over the place. I'm really. This group is great. It's a great group for the podcast because you have so many different aspects coming into this, and I love it. I'm so excited. Thank you guys for showing up. You guys made my day.
Yeah.
Tough Notes. Finish your thought.
Yeah, that's why I started that statement with my created word of naivety. But I think the risk
it's a real word.
I think
the risk I run with this group is.
Are you trying to say naive, but naivety?
Naivete
is a word.
Yeah, naivete.
Yeah, it's definitely a word.
Naivete.
I didn't mean to say it was just a word for him. That was rude of me.
Is that really a word? Am I just making fun of you for no reason?
Like possessive,
Yeah,
naive, like it is my own.
Oh, I'm a dick. My bad.
I don't know. Anyways,
Okay.
I think the risk I run with this group is because they're new and some of them like aren't really sure what D&D is even at all. Like, they might just not be interested. And the risk I could run is, a couple of them might get into it and say, yeah, this isn't for me. Like, I'm not, like, this just isn't my thing. And so I think that's more the risk than trying to break the game and, doing these other things that more experienced players would do.
What you should do then, as you're DMing, throw in treats along the way, like
we talked about this last week,
or 200 gold coins here, or a new sword if you have a fighter. Like
I think Pizza Party was what we brought up last week.
Yeah. Throw little bits to help them advance their character in the game, because even veteran players, if the campaign starts to get stagnant, I'm out. I'm gone. Yeah. If I can't, do advancements quicker than leveling up, so our DM, he would throw in like enchanted swords or, a new like bigger, better bow for our ranger, a spell book for a wizard, and they just find it along the way.
I've got a comment on that, but I don't want to enter. Does anyone else have anything to respond with?
This gets into one of my questions, and I don't want to go there fully because it'll take too much time, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we can get to your questions. That's one of our topics I want to get to. But so another idea on that is, and tell me what you think of this, Brando, because I'm curious your thoughts. So something I've thought about is I love base building. I love the aspect of like build. I've talked about this a lot with Pickles because a lot of my characters kind of have this goal of I want to build like a kingdom or like a castle, or I want to build like an army or a PMC, like a private military, or a mercenary group, or like I want to build something. And it like that's my like, oh, I really want this. And so when I'm DMing, I'll often offer that as like and this is huge with a game that I was trying to run and never worked out called Revolution. And it was the idea of you guys get to recruit allies throughout the game. As you continue on, you kind of get to build this mass army of people who support you, who got your back, and like at the end of the game, it's like, well, like all these people are going to come together, and if you did well, you'll have a mega army backing you during the mega fight. And like throughout the game, you kind of get that aspect of you build like, maybe you recruited the blacksmith, and then they're able to make all this better gear for all your people. Whereas if you didn't recruit them, you don't get to make all that better gear for your people. So it's like it kind of gives you a benefit. So instead of just character bonuses, like a better sword, a community bonus as a reward. What are your thoughts on that? Is that still kind of in line with something that you would feel rewarded by?
Yes and no. We tried that, and the problem we ran into was too much rolling. So we had it where we had an army, but we had a roll for each army person. And once the army got up 150 people, it's like, whoa, this is way too much way too much rolling. But then, how did
I wouldn't do this. DM, I'd be like, fuck no.
You know,
Always simplify.
Yeah.
you know, do they fight in clusters? Do they fight one by one?
Yeah, that's a DM question, but yeah, I mean, if I was running it and you've got like a mega battle like that, granted, I will be honest, in my 15 years of DMing, I've never gotten to the point where we've gotten that far in a campaign to where I've been able to run something like that. But if I was running a mega battle, I've watched enough videos and kind of seen how others do it. And I think my favorite way of doing it would be clusters. So you've got, okay, the artillery attacks or the cannons attack or the catapults attack. Okay, roll. Okay, there you guys are attacking and you're really focused on what the players are doing because that's where the story is. The rest is kind of background noise. And you're like, you kind of do a roll to see how the battle is favoring. So like out of their peripheral, they can see, oh, your forces are getting pushed back. Like you guys should probably start falling back a little bit to keep it in line with your group, or you guys are going to be surrounded. That's kind of like that background. You're just rolling to see kind of how the battle is going around them. Okay, like, oh, you guys got a really good. The cannons nailed it. Like they just blew up like a huge wave of enemies. Obviously, I'm doing a terrible job discussing this, but you know, off the fly.
No, I see the waves of enemies. I'm glad
You see them. Yeah, the cannons got them. Yeah. Woo! Go team.
Crossing the river.
Yeah.
Vive la revolution.
That's the way.
Exactly. You see it too.
Yeah. See, this is why I'm a DM. You guys, King's Crossing, check it out. It's amazing.
See, you guys have played all different styles of D&D. We stuck to the classic version. You got your wizard, your fighter, your druid.
I totally got off topic. That's what I was trying to get to, and that was like 30 minutes
Druid,
ago.
rogue, got him for bard, cleric. We just had your traditional classes, but we played D&D Unlimited, so we had everything out of our disposal.
I wanted to get back to that. Thank you for bringing us full circle. I needed to get back to that, and I totally messed up. But Tough Nuts was talking about, and Pickles was talking about, the setting, classic D&D versus literally anything else. Pickles was saying classic D&D is what people want to play, and trying to pitch anything else is like pulling teeth. And Tough Nuts was literally like, yeah, I'm not interested in sci-fi. But look at how popular. I brought this up when I was talking with Pickles. Star Wars was a huge franchise.
Let me go see if I still have something. I'll be right back.
Do you think? Star Wars, huge franchise. Star Trek, Firefly was like a fan favorite TV show that was out for a little while. Marvel, the MCU, fucking huge. I don't know about you guys.
Get into that.
Yeah, I really like action shooters, like Black Hawk Down, like the TV show Shooter, like these like agent. Conspiracy. There was one out there. I can't remember what it was, but the president was under attack, and then like it's a very famous TV show. I can't remember what it's called, but
Designated Survivor.
Oh, that's a good one too. Actually, that's not what I was thinking of. But anyways, like all these huge medias that are great. Even Walking Dead, zombies, post-apocalypse, right? But you pitch any of those as a D&D game, people are like, "No, I want to be an elf." Like, so I see Pickle's point. It's like, can we do literally any other setting?
I do have the answer, I think.
I'm ready.
But I want to see Brando's book before I make a mockery of myself even more.
Yeah, this is we tried Marvel once, and that was like our other D&D, but this is literally
is that Mutants
what
Mass
we
Friends?
played.
Oh no,
no.
Player's Handbook 2 for 4th edition.
Yep, we played 4E for the longest time, with 3.54, same difference. And then we switched to 5, but this is literally, I have like 2 boxes full of D&D 4th edition books in my back room.
Why?
So if anybody wants any, let me know.
I could see 4th edition
I have
though.
enough 4th edition on my shelf.
Chison pitched that too. I wish he was here, but he pitched 4th edition because he was like, it's one that's most video game like. So it would be one that people would connect with, and then it never happened.
Well, it's fun, but he doesn't have time.
Well, yeah,
Stand up for Chison while he's not here. He doesn't have the time that we have.
That's true. Yeah, he's limited. Plus, he lives in the middle of nowhere, and his internet is rough. Like, I think right now he doesn't have internet, so there you go. Point proven. Yeah. But yeah, so setting. I was curious because Tough Nuts came in with I prefer Lord of the Rings, and Pickles was like, I prefer literally anything else. Yep. He's just started his collection. You know what's sad is he's been at this for like 2 weeks and he already has more books than me.
Very cute collection, though.
I haven't bought hardcover books mainly because I'm cheap and I spent all my money on a motorcycle.
I like reading them like more than online. I can't stand the online stuff.
Yeah, paper's much
Same.
better. That's why I always.
I
get my
agree,
books.
but I get all my online's free. So
eBay
Yeah, I
is
get it.
great if you're looking for any weird niche books. If you're playing awkward, weird hipster systems. Yeah. So
setting answer.
my theory on why it's harder for people to pick different things that
Call
deviate
him
from the
out if
path.
he's wrong, Tough Nuts. You better call him a liar.
Yeah, well,
You're wrong.
yeah.
No, I mean if he's wrong.
Well, I guess I should better pack up and go persuade
Well,
you.
there you have it. Tough Nuts is spoken, guys.
No, it's. I think the big thing that makes it so it's hard for people to deviate from the most well-paven path of 5th edition. There's lots of resources for 5th edition. You can make your characters with D&D Beyond. There's like so many resources to make it, and it's not as arduous as doing a character by hand every time necessarily. I mean, it's good to know how to do that, but there's so many resources to make interesting, dynamic characters, and there's rules set in place so that when you bring character to a DM and they approve it, you can be like, no, these are what I do. These are all the things I specifically do well. And so I feel like there's an inherent low level of trust needed in order to play 5th edition. And yes, that's my key theme here is trust. Because you go anywhere outside of that, you start to change the genre of 5th edition to like, oh, this is 5th edition, but Pokemon, or 5th edition, but just all
Hey,
Nintendo things.
Watch your mouth.
Yeah, it starts to make people go, well, no, I want to do an Elven Ranger. I mean, be an Elven Ranger.
Well, both.
And
Let's be honest.
yes.
All the above.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going.
If you're applying 5th edition to something else, like, is that written somewhere? Like, do they have books for that?
They do.
Yes, they have
5th
a lot
edition
of
has
resources for
so
that
many
kind of thing.
resources. Yeah, they have supplements for like you said, they have supplements for Pokemon. You could run a Pokemon 5th edition game.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
continue.
guess in the same sense that playing like a cleric or any other divine character in a campaign setting relies on a bit of trust with your DM not to screw you over there and be like, haha, guess what? Your god hates you now because you forgot to pray at the wrong time that I didn't even tell you about. And like you require trust that your DM's not going to do that as like a cleric, somebody connected to an NPC god in your setting. And
done
so
that.
that's where I started to think
I've literally
about
done
different
that exact
genres.
thing.
What's that?
I've done that. I feel like I'm a
Oh.
terrible person now, but I have done that.
It's a common thing.
The cleric abandoned their holy symbol, and it ended up coming back to fuck them over.
Yeah, well, there's reasons to do that, but like
Continue, sorry.
you need to have a level of trust to expect like that your DM isn't going to screw you over, and I think that level of trust requirement increases the further you get from the well-paven path of D&D 5th edition fantasy. As you go out to like, oh, we're doing sci-fi, you have to be like, okay, DM's gonna back me up on this and tell me what the alien races I can play are, because there's not really options here. And as you go further and further, I think there's more questions that you have to be like aware of. Like sci-fi, okay, I'm gonna make a character, but we're not playing swords and boards. We're playing laser guns and chainsaw swords. So are you gonna kill me like repeatedly? Am I going to die in character creation?
Another
Is a
way to
question
look at
people
this.
ask when you say you play Traveler.
Another way to look
like-
at this is.
I've got to go pull a pizza out of the oven, BRB.
Do you think?
Yeah,
Nice.
I
Another way to look at this
feel that
is
experience.
player investment, because if you look at D&D 5th edition, well, there's 2 points I want to make here. So first is player investment. If you look at D&D 5th edition, what Adam did was for those of you who were here for episode 1, you know, above and beyond. Right? We talked about that. We're like, holy shit, like, what a great player. Like, he went so far above and beyond creating all this backstory and all this stuff. You didn't need to do any of that. If you make a character in 5th edition, it probably takes about 30 seconds. If we're being
Yes.
honest.
story takes longer.
Yeah, if you make a character, if you just make your character for D&D 5th edition, it should take about 30 seconds. Because they have all the resources, it's a fine-tuned system, it's all written for you.
Mm-hmm.
You pick, I want this option, this option, this option. It says, do you want This starting equipment or this starting equipment? That one.
Maybe
Done.
10 minutes.
Yeah,
It depends
yeah,
on depends on the
pretty
person.
quick process.
Yeah,
I did
depends
3 of
on-
them, so yeah.
Yeah. So it depends on the person and everything, but it's a very short amount of it doesn't require a whole bunch of investment from the player. They don't have to learn a whole lot. They're just like, hey, you have D&D Beyond. It's all on there. You click an option and it says, okay, you've clicked this option, that opens up this option. You don't have any other you just have to worry about this. It doesn't make you worry about anything else. This is all you need to worry about right here. And so that's it. If you're like, hey, Savage Worlds, I'm playing a bail bonds recovery agent in Savage Worlds. You think there's a character class for that? Fuck no. You know how I built that character? I said, Pickles, what do I do? So I think player investment is a huge part. You can go into, like, I don't even play D&D 5th edition. I could probably have a game ready to go in about 30 minutes. Because hang on.
Let's go.
Because you guys, while I'm sitting over here being like, okay, what's like their thing that they're going through? What's the quick adventure? While I'm doing that, by the time I'm done, all of you would already have characters. You would have already figured out how you're meeting, and we could roll. Because that's how easy it is. Shut up, Pickles.
Pickles.
Maybe one day we will.
I got a quick question for you, Pickles. Have you ever played a level 21 shot?
No.
Where your character's instantly max 20. It's a one-shot game, one and done.
No. I have
You
never
should try
done
that sometime. You should
Okay,
try it.
are you offering?
I'll stream it. Let's stream it.
I'll play a level 21 shot.
Put your money where your mouth is. We'll stream it right here.
I'll create a character this week.
Oh, right. So you're going to make that, and then I'll make a character, and then
Tough Nuts will DM.
will make a play character.
Wait, then Adam's DMing?
You're DMing. You're
Why do I have
the
to-
game
Yeah.
next week. We're going to help you write the game next week, and then the Monday after next Monday, we are going to play your one shot.
This is actually a topic I want to bring up during one of these podcasts. Is all of us just kind of come together and make a game together. It doesn't actually have to go anywhere. We all just come together and see if we could actually make a campaign together. I think
Let's
that'd
make
be,
a game next week.
I think that'd
together.
be so fun to like have 5+ people. All these people in here with different ideas. Be like, okay, what is our campaign? What's the setting? Okay, cool, done. We write it all out on the paper. What's the plot? Okay, I think it'd be fun to do.
Yeah. Let's make a one shot next week, and then the Monday after that, we play it. Like, we all know what's going to happen. We know how absurd or brutal we're going to make it, and we pick Wrath or one other person, maybe Tough Nuts, to run it.
I feel like
He's all like, whoa, hang on.
He's like, well, wait
I didn't want to make Tough Nuts feel like I was excluding him. Like, it doesn't matter who does it, except that I am the worst.
As long as it's not Pickles.
No, I'm a bitter, old, cynical, terrible storyteller. You can catch me on Sundays.
What a one shot like that does for you. So a lot of the times we'd be playing a campaign for like a month and a half, 2 months, and we'd just be getting tired. And our DM's like, it's one shot time. Make your level 20 characters, and we'd make our level 20 go into a really hard one shot. You get everything, and you just go to town. It's just fun. It's a blast.
What were you gonna say? Something?
So, can we write that on our whiteboard that's off screen on Wrath's room there? The plans for next week and the week after. Do I need to talk to finance for this?
The idea
accounts receivable. Accounts receivable.
The idea of this podcast was that I didn't have to prep anything, and we could literally just go live.
You don't need to prep
and I don't have to
anything.
worry about it.
We'll prepare next week.
But now I have to remember that next week we have a game to make.
How is that? Just write it on your whiteboard, dude.
I don't have a whiteboard.
Use the permanent markers that I put next to your wall.
And just write them on the wall.
Sure.
Yes.
You paint over when it's a new week.
Yeah.
What our DM would do, Wrath, he'd just throw in random enemies. He'd just do a random off the cuff,
it's
off
very
the top
possible.
of his head campaign.
All right, guys, we're gonna go fight a Tarrasque next week. Be prepared.
No.
What are them birds? The classic D&D bird. What's that thing called? You guys know what? It's the very classic D&D bird.
Griffin.
No. It's like a bird.
Terrace guy.
God, what is it? It's a very no. It's fuck. I thought it would be the most obvious bird.
It's like a rainbow bird.
No.
Kiku.
No, it's not a real bird. It's a D&D bird.
An
Crow.
eagle?
Fuck! Fuck! I thought it would be an easy answer. None of these are right.
A crow.
God, that's gonna bug me. Never mind. My comment went out the
Ragnarok.
window. No, it's a
Typhlosion.
You know, I'm half tempted to make a level 20 druid because a level 20 druid can get up to 3
You
pterodactyls
just showing me the contents like
that can swallow people and animals and creatures whole.
I like the idea that we all think we're playing a different system, and so we all approach the game with different character sheets.
That would be
It's
hilarious.
like, I'm playing World of Darkness, so I'm just edgy and moody, and all my things have to do with edgy and moodiness.
Hey,
Eric
that
Okra?
would make a game fun.
That would make the game absurd. Everybody playing a different system? Well, it's World of Darkness, so I'm rolling 10 d10s. Oh, I failed.
I'm playing Shadowrun.
Yeah,
Cockatrice!
okay,
It's a
you're in the
cockatrice!
Same trench then.
It's a cockatrice.
Multiple dice.
How is that the most obvious?
It's a cockatrice. That's like the classic D&D bird.
Oh, well, I don't fixate on
That is not
hawk-based-
obvious, though.
That is obvious. It's a cockatrice. Thank you, chat. Chat didn't say shit. I found it on my own.
Well, yeah, that would
BRB.
be...
Alright.
Yeah, you know, actually, Adam and I are both going to BRB.
Y'all BRB. Anyway, so I want to get into the setting. We've danced around the idea of the topic. So Star Wars, huge, futuristic, sci-fi, space, Marvel, superheroes, all that. Like I said, one that I personally enjoy. Maybe it's not the biggest avenue, but military and special agent, conspiracy, government official, all of those are huge medias. Or another big one was post-apocalyptic. But you bring that to D&D and people are like, nah, I want to be an elf. Why is that? Because Pickles is I don't want to be an elf. I want to do literally any one of these other options. And it's not just tough nuts.
Well-
it's mostly tough nuts, but it's not just tough nuts. But people choose the I want to, and I get it. It's a valid choice. I'm just curious why.
I think the reason why is because elves have the biggest character advantages.
Well, I don't mean just elf. I mean people want to play classic D&D over any other setting.
So, for me, and I can't. This is one of those topics where I feel like it's really hard to speak for other people.
No,
Because
speak
it's
for
very-
yourself. Speak for yourself.
Yeah, it's a very personal thing, but for me, long before D&D was in my head at all of wanting to do it, that's just always been the genre that intrigues me.
Mhm.
So I grew up living and breathing Lord of the Rings. That was my thing. This. This was literally all I did with my life was I read the books, I played Lord of the Rings online, and I'd watch the movies on repeat. And that was most of my life for 8 years.
One of his most treasured possessions. Trying to remember, it was a framed map of Middle Earth, right? And there was something that it had with it. What was it?
I was really into the trading card game,
Mhm.
which you introduced
I
me
think
to
I introduced you to because I loved
Yeah.
it too.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
We actually played it, but then I got into the collecting part of it. But yeah, I had a map with a bunch of rare cards.
That's what it
that,
was. Yeah.
had a bunch of the characters and stuff that I made. It was kind of artsy crafty D&D type stuff where you burn
It was
the
cool.
edges of stuff, and
was
it was really
cool.
cool. Yeah. But yeah, no, that genre is just what has always captured my heart. I've just been intrigued with it, and I don't know why. That's just what worked for me, right?
And
so-
to be fair, this is you're just getting into it. So you're I want to play what I'm interested in, which is
Yeah.
perfectly fair. But give
Well,
it
and it's all new.
5 years, you might be I've played D&D for 5 years. I'd be open to doing a future setting for a couple months and playing a
Yeah,
game
well,
of
and there's
that.
other
It could-
settings like the Marvel setting, for example. I love those movies. I'd maybe be open to that.
Yeah,
I'd wanna
maybe
understand how it
Pickles
works.
should launch this superhero game he keeps talking about that I've been begging for
But
years.
if there's a setting that like Star Wars, for example, that's an easy one for me. Growing up as a kid, I loved those movies, but now when I rewatch them or just go back into that world, I just get bored.
Yeah,
Like-
I don't enjoy Star Wars. I never liked Star Trek, but Firefly is one that I really connected with and I really enjoyed. And So that's where when Pickles pitched a space campaign, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, I'll play a smuggler. Like, that'd be so cool. Like, I'll play like a, relating it to Star Wars, and I'm Han Solo. He was a smuggler, I believe. He was like kind of the
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So I was like, you know, I feel like there's a lot you could do with that. Granted, it feels tough as a DM because instead of making like a city or nation or a continent, you have to make space. I feel like that's a tough one. So I haven't personally DM'd them because I was like, that's a lot. Yeah, it's like,
I think I kind of know why people don't like playing these off-spin D&D campaigns, or like the Star Wars
Well,
or the Marvel.
let's first address it as he calls them off-spin D&D campaigns. So that's already a negative. Like instead of playing, oh, they want to play a Star Wars campaign, or they want to play a future campaign. It's this off-brand bullshit.
well, they're off-spins, Brad. I mean,
not everything is D&D. Not everything is D&D.
Star Wars that was usually a D&D off spin, though.
The fact that we talk about TTRPGs, tabletop role-playing games, and we always call them D&D, but they're not. Only one is D&D.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this recently because I was talking with a friend of mine, and she recently got into tabletop role-playing games, and she was playing D&D. And I was telling her about the Strange Town of Golden Ridge, a modern day campaign where I play a bail bonds recovery agent, a bounty hunter in the modern day, and I'm playing alongside a cop, a detective. And she was like, what? So I had to explain it again. She goes, but like, are you an elf? And I was like, no, this is like modern day. She was like, I didn't know there was other things. Like, I thought it was just D&D. And I was like, nope, there are other options. Everyone just thinks it's D&D. There is more to it.
People probably only play D&D because D&D is not an actual thing. So like the Marvel, tabletop game, the Star Wars tabletop game, those were formed from the movies, the books. So we all have a perception of what way those should go. Where D&D, we have no perception of where it is to go. And so when we jump into those tabletop games, we feel like it needs to go away. We can't control it as much as we can D&D, because D&D is just a fantasy game.
Well, like, we'll take Traveler, for instance, because Traveler, for those of you who don't know, it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Pickles knows way more about the system than I, because he actually DM'd it. I just played in it. It allows for a lot of stuff, but the way we played it, it was set in space. It allowed for a space campaign, and so it had, like, your skills were stuff like engineering, like, God, I'm drawing a blank, but like basically where you could like work on spaceships, you were comms, stuff like that, stuff you wouldn't see as an elf fighter. Like they wouldn't have comms as a communications, as a skill.
So boring.
I had comms. Fuck you.
Yeah, Traveler and I broke up a while back, so
I liked it, but the campaign that we were in ended it was a bad breakup.
No, Traveler just sucks. If you compare it to Savage Worlds is everything Traveler wants to be, but with a like framework so that you can make your character actually have class features.
Would you run Savage Worlds in a future space campaign?
Absolutely. I would never go back to Traveler.
Okay, then I'm sold.
Like,
see, that's how easy of a player I am. I'm like, okay, done.
Here's the core difference between Traveler and Savage Worlds. Traveler has, you have characteristics, things like strength, dexterity, intelligence, education, whatever. You have these here, and they're connected to these things over here, which are skills, like things like engineering, slapping people in combat, swimming in a lake. Athletics is actually what that would be, and stealth and whatnot like that. And you can combine these two, and you go against a basic score. Here's Savage Worlds. You have attributes. Things like strength, etc., etc. You have skills, things like etc., etc., except also fighting and shooting. And also things are more simplified so that you don't have to be like, oh, is my melee combat slapping people or is it stabbing people? No, it's just everything, because that's easier. It's more fun to just, you buy melee combat and you
just have some Zweihander, the campaign, the system I use, Zweihander, also has that. It has melee combat, range combat.
And there's complex and simple, and that's fair to make that distinction. But it's better than being like, oh, I picked up an axe, but I only have bladed and blunt, so I don't have axe because that's a special category. It's nonsense. Traveler has a lot of flaws, but
basically, I forgot where I was going with that story. So,
well, I was going somewhere. So,
Go
Savage Worlds is attributes, those things, strength, blah blah blah. You have skills, those things, but you also have then class features that implement and make your character more whole. Like that's what Traveler's missing, is that you don't have anything that gives you like a bonus. There's no like, I'm an investigator, so therefore I have a +2 bonus to my freaking investigation and perception bullshit nonsense for clues. You don't have an option for like, I'm a berserk, because Traveler does have options for being like, I'm a vagabond and I'm almost like a berserker, but there's nothing good about me other than that maybe my endurance is slightly higher. And that's not fun. You need something that's like, I have an advantage over other players at this thing because that's what I bring to the party.
So
I'm the one who's able to re-roll things to help people because I am the helper guy. My name's
me.
Travis King.
I was like, that's me. That's what I do.
Yeah, exactly. You need something that can make you better, and that's the problem I had with Call of Cthulhu, and that's also the problem I have with Traveler.
So this
and why
is
Savage Worlds is better.
I don't have a lot of games that I have options to play in. So I play in all of Pickle's games, and you can see he just kind of bounces around from system to system trying to find one that he enjoys. So I bounce around from system to system finding one that he enjoys. So I think it sucks because we haven't gotten to have a 5-year long campaign, but it's also good because I've gotten to experience all these different games and like systems where it's been cool, getting to learn Pathfinder. It's been cool getting to learn Call of Cthulhu. Yeah, I mean, there was things that didn't work, but at least I got the experience. Like, it was fun going to get to play them. So, it's kind of a pro-con. Yeah, we didn't get to have the 5-year long campaign of D&D 5th edition. We just stuck with that. We knew it worked, and we just rolled with it. But it was also like, okay, I got to experience all these different worlds and all these different storylines through all these different systems. And I don't know. I would never take it back. Like, it was a good, I have no regrets kind of thing. It was fun going through them all. But getting back to the idea of, we were talking about classic fantasy setting versus literally anything else. Anyone else have any thoughts? I know Tough Nuts, you probably got, well, Tough Nuts kind of shared. Adam, what do you think? We haven't heard a lot from you.
Yeah. Well, I would have to agree that maybe it's because of like the world that I've lived in, the path that I've walked down in life, that if I'm sitting down to do some sort of imagination thing, it's going to be something that's fantastical, way out there, something where I can just completely play in a whole new realm of where magic exists and these different beings and races exist. That's where I would want to escape to when I'm playing something like a tabletop RPG. And I think that that's what the draw of Dungeons and Dragons is for most people, especially new people coming into it. But I could see the point of, like, if the world that you've grown up in and lived in is that fantasy game, you would have the same exact effect over time, as you would want to expand out into something else and see, all right, what's going to draw me this week, and where can my imagination go with this one? So I guess it might be something where it's a case where maybe we're just earlier on in the process, and maybe eventually down the road, if we keep up with this, it'll eventually morph into something like that. But the world that I've grown up in and lived in is, well, I'm an aerospace engineer by education, so the sci-fi stuff is not all that too far outside of my realm of what I do on the daily basis. So going and trying to escape into a sci-fi sort of thing doesn't sound as appealing to me because I'm living it every day.
Mm-hmm. Huh.
Fair point. Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, if we're talking fantasy, I mean, let's talk Space Age. I mean, you could do Fantasy Mass Effect. It's a great video game that I bring up because it's one of my favorites. But classic it's a fantasy but in space, blah blah blah. But then you got a good point. You're like, nah, that's not really my flavor because I deal with aerospace engineering. I want to be an elf. I want to go hit shit with a stick. I'm like, okay,
Return to monkey.
yeah. You're like, I've done the whole futuristic thing. I want to go the other way. So that's fair. I think it's twofold, and I think it's kind of some of the stuff we brought up. That right there was a perfect point. I think that's something Pickles and I have talked about. He was like, I get it because people. Why would anyone want? I think Pickles, I should let you say this. It was about why would you want to be in the modern
I can say
era?
it myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I like to run a lot of modern horror, which is like two things are wrong there. And the modern part is people are usually like, why would I want to do something I could just go outside and do? And it's like, yeah, I get that. But also, I'm fascinated by. I love horror movies, like, and that's not to say like, oh, I'm obsessed with Saw or Hostel or something. Like, I love ghost stories. I was.
I was
now.
like,
I love the Saw movies as thrillers.
You made me watch all the Saw movies.
Well, at the time, there were only like
6.
Anyways, no, there were only
7.
like 3. I just wanted to exaggerate for fun. No, it takes a lot of trust to enter into something that's a horror thing where your GM or DM is like, I love ghost stories, I love monsters, because I always watch horror movies and think, oh yeah, but wouldn't this be so awesome if I had like a party who could just take this on and kick so much fucking ass, like Army of Darkness every single movie. Like you get your Bruce Campbells in with their shotguns and being like, no, you don't actually make this movie a terrible ending, which I love those movies, but still, it's like I would love to have heroes come in and rewrite horror movies for me, and so that's where I get a lot of my inspiration. But as I said earlier, a level of trust you need for each system and genre, and maybe even group number or even the GM, like horror is at that wide format there. Like, you really need to trust that your GM is not just gonna be like, okay, you're dead now from a stupid bullshit cause. The same way that you would need to trust somebody who's like, I'm running a dungeon crawler. You'd be like, okay, so do I need to come with multiple characters because the traps are going to be bullshit, or what have you? Like, I think that's the big thing with genres and systems and all those differences, and why people just are automatically like, no, no, I don't want your torture porn, Mr. Pickles. No, it's not torture porn. No,
I swear.
One person got bitten.
Horror specifically, I feel like even built into the theme itself is written like
people are going to die.
Extreme danger to characters. Right?
Yes.
Which is a huge... I agree. Because I have a Grim and Perilous system, and it's a huge turnoff for people, because I'm like, it's going to be tough. Things are going to want to kill you.
It was tough.
Right, so having moments... like one thing that I've learned through my research of being a new DM is it's really important to have like moments of spotlight for each character. Like moments where each character feels like they're contributing, they're important, they're like, taking the reins of the story.
Right, Pickles?
And I feel like that would be a really big challenge in a horror campaign.
Oh yes, you are.
And
100%
I think the players would know that going in probably, because like I
don't know. There's 2 players currently in the Strange Shadow Golden Ridge, and I feel like there's tons of spotlight. It actually terrifies me because I'm like, oh god, the spotlight's on me again. Am I gonna die?
2-player games are very intimate.
Why is the spotlight
you get
on
to know
me?
the characters a lot,
but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, I 100% do. You have to be very gentle, and that's why you can't approach a good campaign. Okay, take that back. Call of Cthulhu, there are plenty of DMs out there who can do a long-standing, sanity-draining campaign, but for what I want to do is I want players to be curious and to go out there and kick ass like they're Bruce Campbell in Evil Dead with a shotgun and be like, no, we'll climb down into this hole in the ground, even though that's kind of messed up, and also there's some traps that I will note had never you triggered the traps preemptively because you guys were all built that way. It's almost like I wrote
Call of
your characters.
Cthulhu did not reward exploration. Like, you just drained your sanity and you just went crazy. And that was your
Look
character.
away and stay in your car.
Yep, you're like, nope, I didn't see nothing. I don't look at water. I don't even know water exists. I'm going to bed.
You need to DM. You need to DM for my former group, Pickles. You would love us.
Before we wrap up today's episode, I want to get to Tough Nuts. Can we get to your questions?
Yeah.
You've been here for 3 hours and we haven't gotten your questions, so I want to make sure we get to those because I feel like we've pretty much discussed every other topic.
Yeah.
I feel like we could go into them a lot more. So depending on next week we might be building a game together. But if we're not,
we are building a game.
It would be great to look into more of these topics. So if you guys think on it during this week, I think there's a lot more we could discuss on some of these topics we've hit. But I want to make sure we get to your questions, Tough Nuts, because you came prepared with these.
Yeah, I mean, we've actually hit on a lot of them.
We'll bring them up. Maybe we've got more thoughts.
You know. So I'll list them first, and then we can decide what we want to talk about, because I don't think we'll have time to talk about all of them. But one was the concept of like time gating and railroading as a new DM, because, and we talked about this before everyone was here a little bit.
He's like, yeah, that one.
Please, that's such an easy one. That's such an easy one to me.
Great one.
Okay, yeah, go.
If you're the GM, you're God. You're in control of time. Time is the number one thing you can control. You can tell people that things go quickly and you hurry up. You don't need to make people pay for every single receipt unless you need to. Like, you can just say, yeah, you go out and buy those things. It doesn't really matter that much. You can move things on. You can say, yeah, you travel 8 hours, and here are things you saw. You can flavor it. You can put in your paprika, your black pepper, and salt. But it's entirely up to you how much you time gate and railroad things in that regard.
Right. Let me clarify that question a little bit.
Okay.
What I'm talking
You said
about
you're wrong, Pickles.
I'm
No. I totally agree with what
wrong.
you're saying. I just don't know that it captures exactly what I was trying to say.
Gotcha.
The time gating that I'm talking about is in reference to like what games do, where like content comes out over time, but you're not allowed to access certain content until the game has allowed you to access it.
It's what we were discussing earlier, yeah.
Right. And so, like, what I was talking with Wrath earlier is like, there's parts of my story that if the characters decided that's the part of the story that they really wanted to drive to, they'd be in trouble because they're not going to be ready for that. And so a balance of like, I don't want to railroad the characters. I want them to be able to follow the paths that they want to follow, but I also don't want to just set them up for failure all the time. I want them to do parts of the story that they're prepared to do.
Well, what you can do there is if they choose one of those paths that they're not set up and ready, you can sprinkle stuff along the way to kind of help them out a little bit too. I mean, because if they travel to an area and they just get obliterated, they're done. I mean, they'll never return to D&D again.
Right.
Unless they run. This is a point. I'll let you finish, but this is a point that you guys ran from the giant Komodo dragon thing I had.
Yes, we are.
I'm
a bitter old man.
No, so what I'm saying is,
bitter old beer.
I brought this up earlier. There are circumstances where I'd say it makes good flavor because you shouldn't have every single challenge they come up against they can overcome. Because how realistic is that? I mean, like, I could go try and be the president. I'm probably not going to get it. There are challenges I can't overcome. At this current moment, I need to build towards them. And you kind of need to show, hey, there is more in this world that you could achieve, but you're going to need to build towards it. And I feel like that's good to sprinkle in. Don't make it a focus. Don't make that everything. But make it a good, like I gave the example, okay, in King's Crossing, there's this giant blind Komodo dragon-looking creature roaming the swamp. Now, there's probably a big reward and a ton of hide and meat you could get from that if you killed it.
So much.
But are your characters capable of doing that right now? Maybe not. So you're like, we're going to run away from this fight because you guys went up against a bunch of, like, 100 monsters. You're like, yeah, we're not really ready to fight that. So you run away, you flee. That's perfectly fine. It doesn't have to count as a failure. It just counts as okay, So we're looking at this Komodo dragon. We know that there's a reward out for it, but I can't kill it right now. I'll die.
There's a
So
reward?
what we're gonna do? Shut up. What we're doing is we're gonna remember that old lady who gave us that stupid quest that all of us laughed at, but it was actually the plot
Oh, no.
that the DM wanted us to go do. Let's go do that so we can level up, so we can go fight this Komodo dragon because we know that that's out there. So you kind of give them like that incentive. It's a different way of looking at it. I gave this example earlier, but you guys weren't here for it, so I figured I'd throw it out again. But Brando, you were saying.
Yeah, I rolled a 2 for Flea.
Yeah, well, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's the first topic I was going to bring up. If we want to keep going to the other questions, though,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Keep rolling.
Well, as far as
So-
you said time gating, hang on, you said time gating, and you were talking about releasing content. I mean, I gave an example of, like, okay, you guys aren't ready for this, but you can, like, hint at it. It's just a way of, like, hinting at it. Like, yeah, there's a treasure in the vault of this Thieves Guild. Are your characters able to just raid a Thieves Guild at level 1? Probably not. But you could be like, it's something that is out there that by, 5th level, you can be like, yo, remember that Thieves Guild that had all that treasure? We could probably take them now.
And, the players, too, will, like, some of them have, higher intelligence, higher wisdom. They'd probably, their characters, not the players, but the characters themselves would understand, like, if someone's talking about some crazy beast somewhere, they'd probably know, like, oh, well, we're probably not prepared to do that, but let's figure out how we can.
Yep. Absolutely. And I mean, there's things that you can, like, if you reward your players on your creativity, like, maybe they're like, okay, we're only level 1. We can't take this giant Komodo dragon thing. But what if we level the playing field? What if we pull a Witcher on them? The Witcher games are a great example. Use toxins that study the creature. Wet your blade with this toxin that you know it's vulnerable to, because that gives you an edge. Maybe use traps, use smoke bombs, disorient it. If your players came up with ideas like that, if my players did that, and they were like, yo, we're going to go get that Komodo dragon. Let's learn about it. Let's study it, research, and do all this stuff. I'd be like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. I'm so down. Like, I would reward them, even if they're level 1. If they go through all that work to level the playing field, I'd be like, yo, you guys just fucking killed this giant dragon thing. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to kill it. I want to befriend it.
You don't have to.
I want to fuck it.
You tried to kill a baby rhino. Don't.
I was confused.
That's all valuable. Go ahead,
Hurt
Pickle.
itself in its confusion.
I was just clearing the playing field here for you to either respond to the time gating or...
Yeah, I know we're almost out of time, so please, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to move quick just to...
You should save this, because
I was gonna say,
you
maybe
probably
we
have
should-
a list of episodes right here.
I probably do, if you want to wait.
Like, why
Are you
should
okay?
we not,
one more.
answer your
one more.
questions?
Yeah, I don't want to rush your questions. That's not fair to you or the time. So why don't we can only save them. Yeah, go ahead, do one more.
I'll do one more. And the reason I'll ask this one is because it's part of the really early stages of character creation, which is something I'm actually actively doing right now with my
Specifically
players.
in D&D, or is this just generally?
This is specific to my campaign, 2 of the players.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys have run into this, but 2 of my players made fairly similar characters. Like, one is a rogue that is, pretty focused on money, focused on stealth, like classic criminal rogue archetype kind of. And then one is a ranger that's focused on range, focused on stealth, but focused on, like, intelligence, wisdom, like studying books and stuff.
That's awesome.
That's what I said.
So, which yeah, I love both characters, but one of my fears with those characters is I want them to be able to feel unique enough and have their own spotlights. If there's items, because they're both going to use very similar items, like, how do we work that out? And I want them to just feel like they're not being overshadowed by someone who has all the same skills and abilities, and
I mean,
Yeah.
they'll be able to like go on the same stealth missions together. Like,
Yeah.
stealthing is normally like, oh, only one person does this. You'll have the opportunity here to write stealth missions that require 2 people.
I was thinking
And
the
then
same
maybe
thing.
also some people at the front making a distraction, like the wizard and the bard or something. I don't know your other characters. You know your other people at the front. Like, this gives you so much opportunity to write for that, and like that concept of money hungry rogue and then the ranger who also has similar skills. There's so much opportunity to make light drama, like light clashing against each other with that as the 2 characters who are capable of doing this. You can put riches out there and be like, oh, so does somebody snag gold coins? And if they both snag gold coins, then you can be like, oh, well, you both share that thing in common and you got gold coins. But if somebody doesn't want to steal, or somebody wants to make a stand about we don't steal on this job, that's the kind of thing you could play with. That you have such a beautiful opportunity here. I've never had anybody be like, we're all going to have stealth.
We thought about it. We wanted to do a game where we all played wizards. Remember?
We
And there was
did,
another
and
one where we
everybody
all
turned into
wanted to
bullies.
play. We all wanted to. What was it? We were all
They
going to
bullied
play
you.
non. Yeah.
They're like, why are you taking athletics? We don't need athletics. And you're like, well, I'm the transmutation thing. And they're like, they bullied you for taking what I thought was a really
it
cool.
didn't go well.
that
But
third mission.
well, that's just bad party. But there was
Magic-
another one where we all wanted to
magic
play
missile.
monster characters, like non. Remember that?
My monster game was
Yeah, that didn't go
a
well
terrible
either.
choice.
I think those are great ideas. I would love to play it, even if it was one shots or like short adventures or whatever. Like that would be awesome to play in. But my initial thought was going off Pickles, same thing, where it would be a great team building environment to where you could literally be like, whatever the case is, you guys are gonna raid this mansion. How do you want to do it? Those 2 could be like, yo, these non-stealth characters are gonna approach the front door and do their thing. While they're doing that, let's perform a super awesome stealth mission and like get into the base. And the other stealth characters like, oh hell yeah, like I'll be the melee stealth character this time, and you be the ranged stealth character this time, and we can like cover each other and like protect each other, and it'll be like this whole like, secret agent man. Like that'd be so cool. Like I would do that. I'd be like, hell yeah, high five. Like I feel like that's a huge team building experience. But I didn't go as far as Pickles did, and I think he brought up a good point. As much as that is a team building high five moment, you could also present moral, like team breaking moments. Not team breaking because you don't want to do that, but where it's like, yeah, where you kind of create some like drama between the group, and you're like, ooh, but what do you guys do if something's placed between you that you both want, or whatever the case may be. I think
You stop to save people.
There's so
It's
much,
like
and
a-
both of those are team building or character building, moments that
Or
you can do a
narrative
lot with
building.
it. And I wanted to know, when you say you have similar characters, I've seen worse. I've seen games where it's like we've literally built the same character. At that one, you've at least got a rogue and a ranger, kind of different aspects. Kind of they're at least coming with a little bit different. But I've seen games where it's been like, wow, like we're both playing elven rangers who are sassy badasses. Like, great. Like, I'll change my character.
Pickles.
Sexy Squad.
Pickles. We should both make rogues and just go around and steal people's money all day long.
He's
Chaotic
talking.
evil.
He's talking real life.
Yes, we'll do that. But also, we've got 4 minutes left, guys. Who here, like, just hands up, or in the case of Adam, like,
Do a smiley face.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Well, okay,
Yeah.
you don't even know what you're raising your hands up. Hands up for.
You just
if you
said,
want
guys, hands
to
up.
Spend next week preparing a game that we are also going to have one of us bullshit roll through.
But the question about that is, y'all show up at different times.
I can be here on time.
So is that a thing
give me a
where
time.
is that a thing where, I mean, since it's just kind of a one-shot bullshit game, you could just, I guess, we spend next week making the game and making characters and everything, and then the next week after that, Pickle shows up, at 8 p.m. rather than 7 p.m. my time, an hour into the podcast, and he just joins the game at that point. It's like, my character's here.
What?
That's exactly how we'll do it. Is you guys, I won't know what happens in the initial part because you guys will be planning that. Maybe I'll contribute stuff to it and I'll know a little bit of the idea when I do next week. But when we do the week after, then my character would show up when I show up. So therefore I cannot be DM. Hell yeah.
That means literally the DM has to be tough nuts for me because we're the only people who show up on time.
But like, okay, that's why I said hands up if you like this idea. If you like this idea and you want to do it, I will.
Fuck yeah, that'd make for a great episode. For I
I
Okay,
like it.
so we're
I don't know
all
if I'm
in for
willing
this.
to DM, but yeah.
You don't have to DM. We'll make Wrath DM.
I'll have to
obviously.
DM.
We
I'm
just
not
bring you in
DMing a
so
game
that
right
you'd be
now,
like,
so yeah, I'm not DMing a game, so I can DM it.
yeah. Okay, so next week we have our plan. Then
Question
we have
is,
our
so
idea.
we're using Traveler.
No.
Oh,
We can if we really want something
No,
bullshit
let's-
and terrible.
I mean, we'll
I
discuss
feel
setting
like
and
we should go
everything.
simple. We should go simple. Just have a simple system.
Maybe we do this every
Maybe.
now and then. Like we'll change it up. Like we'll end up with like a classic fantasy one next week, and then maybe in like a month we revisit. We're like, hey, let's make another one shot, and we make it a future game or something.
You and Tough Nuts are going to create the start of it next week. So
If
when
they
the
show
rest
up
of
on
us come
time,
in,
maybe they'll be here. I don't know. Other people could show up.
maybe you'll start it. The whole thing is that it's going to be an art creation because we're all going to add bullshit to it. It's going to be absurd. It's going to be stupid.
It's gonna be.
Are we doing standard Dungeons and Dragons, or are we doing?
I think
I don't even know.
starting out, like Pickle said, we should start simple. Let's just start with D&D 5th edition. We'll just roll with that next week, and
Yeah.
then maybe in a month, 2 months, 3 months, whenever we want to do this again, we're like, okay, let's do a Savage Worlds game, and we run that, and that
Boo.
one that gives you guys an opportunity to try a different system. It's just a one shot. It's not like you have to like commit and be like, oh my god, I'm playing this forever. It's just like, okay, you get to try a new system and see what it's like.
And you're already max level, so you get to try everything pretty much.
Whoa. Your character's max level. All of us aren't.
Yeah, we're all going to be playing level 1s, and you're going to be a god.
I'll be a level 27 warden.
Well, that's what we'll
Oh
have to
my
figure
God.
it out. We'll discuss it all next week when we come back.
It's
and
gonna
like,
be all
okay,
right,
what
jokes,
level
all
are the
fun.
characters?
We're all going to be level 0 kobolds.
Oh, God.
Actually,
Well,
that's
the
been
thing.
pitched.
We
That's,
can do anything. We have no rules here
Yeah.
because nothing matters.
you could, and that's actually been pitched. Chison, a guy I really want to get on the podcast here, he'd be a great addition. He runs. We'll talk about it, but he is a co-host to, and I took that personally. We'll talk about that here in a minute, but Chison is a huge fan of kobolds, and he's like, he's like, I'll play a kobold any day. I'll play. So there you go.
He's the first one.
We're at the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys for joining episode 2 of Drinks and Discussions. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. Got a Diet Coke. Don't ask questions.
Dilly.
Huge shout out to all the guys here, to Mr. Pickles, Brando, otherwise known as the Round Table. Which one do you prefer to go by? So I can just.
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay, there's Dick Wad Sugar Butt.
I like
And-
Brando. I prefer Brando.
Okay, we'll go with Brando. There's Tough Nuts and Adam.
Adam, we gotta come up with a name for you.
Yeah, you need a name, man. We all got our pretend names.
We can do Adis.
Well, it's all pretend names except I'm Wrath, and that's what I go by in my real
Well,
life. So.
Brando's just my name with the N taken off the end of it, so.
Oh yeah.
Ah.
Makes sense. I'm literally Wrath everywhere. I've been Wrath since
So
2013.
Adam can be Ada.
Ooh yeah.
Ada.
You're Ada. Ooh,
Ada.
Ada.
Ada sounds hot.
All
though.
my World of Warcraft characters start with Ada, and then it's like whatever the class is.
Mm,
Ada Wizard.
Ada Lock,
format.
Oh, Ada Lock. That
Mage.
makes way more sense. Okay.
Ada Lock, Ada Mage.
I was like, Ada Wizard. Anyways, guys, huge shout out to the guys who contributed to this. It wouldn't be a podcast without you guys. So thank you so much for all the content you guys are giving me. But I want to do a shout out to the sponsors. First of all, to King's Crossing, my own campaign. It airs Sundays, but not currently. We just wrapped up chapter 1. We're switching over to another campaign, and I want to do a huge shout out to that one. But real quick, King's Crossing is a classic fantasy campaign set in Zweihander is the system. It features characters like Grunkle, Wilfer, and Torvekik, and more to come. Yeah, there you go. I was like, it's all blurry. What is that? Yeah, Zweihander. Yep, that's a thick book.
Oh my good God, novel right
this
there.
system is fucking thick.
It's ridiculous.
Thick with 5 C's.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know.
It has its own ribbon.
Look,
it comes
I
with a ribbon.
chose the wrong book, guys. I don't know how to read.
Discord was blurring the pages, so must not be allowed.
Yeah.
There's porn.
It's bad. It's bad. It's a bad book. But anyways, huge shout out to King's Crossing. You guys can catch that Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. However, it's on an alternating schedule. So Adventure 1 of Strange Town of Golden Ridge airs, and then Adventure 1 of King's Crossing airs, and then Adventure 2 of Strange Town of Golden Ridge airs. So it's on an alternating schedule. We've currently just moved into Strange Town of Golden Ridge, set in Savage World system. Eventually that might become viewable. Kind of. You know, you could just take the blur feature off. I did it. I kept using the blur feature. Tough Nuts kept using the blur feature, and we were like, finally, like, just get rid of it.
Ooh,
yeah, it's there. That's the book.
You want to see my quotes on my walls? Here, I'll take away the blur feature.
It's all good. Strange Town of there you go. Strange Town of Golden Ridge is a system we're currently running, or a game we're currently running Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. You guys can catch that. We're going to be moving into episode 2 coming up this next Sunday, featuring characters like Travis King and Frederick Verde. Detective Verde. Yeah, his first name is Detective. So you guys, huge shout out to those games. You guys can catch those going on. We've also got more games coming. Like I'm forcing Tough Nuts to start DMing a game here. He doesn't really know it. He's kind of volunteer. He's offered, but he doesn't know that it's actually mandatory.
Is I'm forcing Tough Nuts the name of the game?
Yeah, I'm forcing Tough Nuts. That's the name of the campaign.
I'll sign up for that.
That's also the system too.
Is this?
I will sign up for that.
Is forcing Tough Nuts? Is that a Saturday night RPG or?
Who knows when? Who knows when it'll be? We're gonna have to mix it in with our. I'm gonna have to wait like 6 months to DM a game.
Yeah, well, that's how I. Oh my god, I would have to wait that much too.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. No, you have to pick a different day. Pickles, just open up your schedule. Tuesday nights we're around. Anyways, that game's coming to the stream soon. A Pokemon D&D game is coming to the stream soon. Maybe even a D&D 5th edition D&D game from Chison is coming to the stream eventually when he's able. And who knows? Maybe we'll convince Brando to come back, play some D&D.
I'll come play some D&D.
Let's go.
D&D.
You made a comment. I caught it. You made a comment during last week's. I think you were on last week's podcast, right?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
When was it? You made a comment. Oh no, was
Played Up.
Played Up. Yeah, you were in Played Up, and you made a comment. You said, "I will never play D&D online. I will only play in person." And I was like, "Damn it!"
Here we go. Yeah, here we go.
You said that, and I was like, "Damn it!"
If we play with webcams on Discord like this, I'm cool with it. Now it's when we get into like the online boards and stuff. It's like nah.
My games, I don't really run with maps. I prefer all theater of the mind and us discussing it and talking it out and just kind of rolling with it. Pickles, you've used some maps, but it hasn't been like anything too in detail.
Yeah, like I just used a gas station map last time to show that if the players fail at what they're trying to do in this adventure, this is the last stop. I just used battle maps for in case, like, you know, things could happen on things. Otherwise, I just used like pictures of places.
That's what I do. I just throw up a picture so you kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Blah blah blah. But anyways, huge shout out to those games. Check them out. You can see them here. Also, those are being recorded and uploaded to YouTube, so you'll be able to catch them there as well. Beyond that, I want to go around the table, give a shout out to each one of these guys. They're amazing people, and they make content, and you'll be able to see it, hopefully real soon, including Tough Nuts, who I'm trying to convince him to record his in-person games, because I really want to see him myself. Which includes Adam, so that's both of them. But yeah. I want to throw it over to Miss Pickles. He's got something that he's worked really hard on, and should be very proud of, because I hated the idea. Well, that's not true. I didn't hate the idea. That's not fair. But it wasn't for me. No. But it wasn't for me. I was like, that's not for me. I'm good. And then I've watched every single episode of this thing, and I laugh every time, and I can't wait for the next episode. So he's converted me. So there's my Yelp review. But Mr. Pickles, tell me about what you got going on, man.
Yeah, so I do a podcast with my friend Brad, aka Kyson, and I am Adam, aka Mr. Pickles, which is why every time I hear Adam here, I'm just like,
It's okay. We'll get that changed.
yeah, I'll change my name.
Oh, sorry, I just kicked my dog.
But yeah, in the podcast I go by Adam, and he goes by Brad, and we just talk about movies. We talk about things that we think about the movies. And the last episode was Mazes and Monsters, but we've talked about horror movies and other stuff. We just have a good time. We talk about the movie and what happens and what things upset us, especially what's upset. It's just the things make us so upsetty spaghetti that we just explode all over the place. And then Brad records me burping, and we make it into a commercial. So it's a wild ride of movie reviews and nonsense, and me sounding more articulate. And I took that personally on Apple Spot. Apple Spot
Spotify.
God damn it. I'm the worst after Jerks
Apple
and Dragons.
Spot. Cheers.
I'll cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers. We gotta do more cheers. Fuck, man. We gotta hype each other up. We're brothers. Yeah, check it out. It's worth it. It's a good time. I remember when he released episode 1, I was in my truck. I was driving. I had to drive about an hour. I think your podcasts are about an hour long. So I was like, perfect. I'll throw it on, listen to it. I was listening, and I was literally in my truck laughing. I was like, this is something that an idea you brought to me like a year ago. I was like, hey, I want to do this, and I was like, cool. No thanks. And now here I am in my truck driving, and I'm laughing out loud, and then I stopped, and I was like, am I laughing at this? Like, apparently I like it, and I've listened to every single episode since. It's a great time. It's good. It's worth it. Brando, what do you got going on, man?
Nothing really. Come. You can check out my company's website. Come give me your money to install your security camera system. I don't know. We're booked out until the end of July. So good luck getting us right now. That's about it.
As a failed entrepreneur myself, I want to do a huge shout out to Brando, man. He's an entrepreneur. He built his own business from the ground up, and he's successful. Yeah, you're still at it. You're still going.
Yeah,
you've got a business, and that's huge, man. That's great.
Although the other day I almost told somebody to go shove it and shut my business doors.
Well, I do that anyway. That's probably why I don't have a business anymore. People would be like, I didn't know you. I'm like, I don't really fucking care. Tough Nuts, you got something you want to share? I know that.
Do I? Unless you can buy Boeing products.
I was gonna say you have a D&D. I was gonna be like, you have a D&D campaign that you're making.
Oh yeah.
You're like, do you want to come buy Boeing?
Buy Boeing stock.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I've got a D&D campaign. It's going to be in person. I haven't considered recording it. But
We might want to do a few sessions before we make that decision. See how we feel.
Fucking send it.
I don't know if everyone in the group will want that, but we'll see.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you don't want to put them on air like that in front of my millions of viewers because you want them to be comfortable and be themselves and not like freeze up and feel it. So. I joke.
I won't live stream it. Maybe I would record it, even if it's just for me to like review the session,
or just audio record. So that way people don't have to be on camera. You could just audio record it, so you can like listen back. Because since doing this with my games and like going back and editing, it's great because 1, it reminds me everything that happened, and 2, it helps me know okay, like I should have done better at this. Or I would have liked if this would have happened. I'm gonna add that in the next episode to help my players.
Yeah, it's like with sports, like recording yourself doing something, you can see how you're doing.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Yep. So what I meant by shouting out your D&D game that you've got releasing is not that it's coming to air, but it's something hopefully that we'll be discussing more as you play through it. I would love to do weekly check-ins. I'm guessing it's a weekly game.
I think it's going to be bi-weekly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's every 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, is that twice a week? That's a lot. Good for you. No, but so I would love that, maybe every other week we do a whole section, like a little segment, maybe it's just a half hour to be like, let's check in on the game. Like it would be great if you would take notes, and even if Adam's here or any of your other players join, if they would kind of take notes and be like, yo, this is what we accomplished. Like that would be so cool to hear and like hear that passion, because I've missed that in a lot of our games that we've gotten to play, and I've talked with Pickles about this, is I miss like the high five, like, yo, we just killed the fucking dragon, like, yeah, let's go team, like, woo, like, it's tough to get those with online games, and I miss that, and I think we should encourage to bring it back.
Yeah.
So are we all going to fight each other and play an end game?
Sorry?
Are we all going to fly and play a level 20 for one day and then fly out?
I was talking about this with Tough Nuts, and I think Tough Nuts and Adam are here. I am some friends of mine over on the West Coast, where actually most of the group here is. They have realized that the West Coast fucking sucks, and they want to leave. And don't act surprised, Pickles.
It is.
Because I left a long time ago. I was like,
I love the West Coast.
Fuck this place. Well, okay.
I love the West Coast so much. I wrote a campaign based in the Pacific Northwest.
It's true.
Let's start this conversation 14 minutes after.
Yeah, this is gonna get deep. Anyways, basically, I've got friends who are leaving the West Coast. They're actually planning on moving out here. We're thinking about going in on house together, and one of our ideas was we were all D&D players. And we're like, yo, what if we built a whole room, like turned one of our rooms into a D&D room where you could like have cameras set up, we play in person, we record it, stream it, you could build our own table, like have a whole D&D table. It would be great. And then Tough Nuts was like, yep. And Adam and I will fly out, and Tough Nuts will pay for it, is what he said.
I was here for this.
Not what I said.
Actually, it was 100% what you said.
Yeah!
You said, I will fly out there.
I said,
You'll fly us out there.
No, not
Yeah.
that. Shut up,
He
Pickles.
said, you'll fly us out there. And you said, yes, I will fly you out there because
No.
my name is Wrath.
No.
I remember
Hang
that.
on.
It seems
Yeah.
like nobody talks
And with
about
that, that's the end of the episode. We didn't even get to Adam. Adam, you don't get to shout out. You don't get to shout out. No, Adam, you don't get to shout out. Shit, that's it.
About
Edit all of this.
600.
Edit it all out. It's never happened. Thank you guys again for joining. I appreciate you guys. Go make your dinners, do your thing, and I will see you all next time.
Hey, round trips to Alaska are only $150.
I'm out.
I love you guys.